Hey, what is up, internet, interwebs, all the above? It is your headmaster here at the GQAzndood Gaming Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, gamers of all levels, welcome to tonight's episode of the Gaming Academy. Where else can you find a deep discussion on gaming, hot takes and deals, and a dash of witty banter? Nowhere, that's where. It's all right here. Tonight, we're diving into a topic that stirs in every collector's soul: physical game copies, as you see from behind me here. Are they relics of the past or treasures worth holding on to? Plus, in our post Black Friday edition of What's the Deal, we'll uncover the best gaming bargains that didn't break your wallet, or maybe it did. Who knows? And for the first time ever, we're launching our new segment, Yo, Check This Out, where we shine a light on some fun and quirky stuff in gaming you didn't know you needed in your life. So with that said, let's introduce the faculty here, because I don't do this by myself. And we'll start with the man of the street, the man, the myth, the legend, the blazing, the ace, the Nelson. What is up? Welcome, sir.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Students, it's great to see you all. Welcome back for another week. GQ, good to see you too. Looking forward to blazing that new trail and covering what's hot in the streets this week.
Yep, it's cold out there, but man, it's fire in them streets, especially in the world of fighting games. Because we got a few articles tonight covering that, about certain topics of why certain fighting games should come back or maybe not come back, right? And speaking of articles, a lot of the content of the show wouldn't happen if it wasn't for the man behind the machine, the man, our inside man, the one and only. I don't know if he's the one and only, but he's our one and only. Tragically Elite.
I'm my own one and only. But it's cold. It's cold in this apartment. I had to crack a window. I've been rushing to get here on time, so thank you for going live right when you did.
All good, man. All good. So before going live, I put in the private chat here. Or anybody out there actually, can anyone guess what theme was playing during the countdown? Take a stab at it. I'll give you guys a hint. Probably released. It is on today's log sheet in this gaming in this week in gaming history.
I'm trying to.
It's a hard one, huh?
I didn't have my headphones on, so I couldn't hear it. So
okay.
Drop the knowledge, Teach.
All good. So we'll actually, I'll reveal it once we get there, because it is one of the things we highlighted. So awesome. Well, good to have you guys both here tonight. It is December 3. We are almost at the end of the year. Wow, that went fast. One of the biggest sales events of the year just happened, so we have a few things to talk about. Maybe talk about our pickups and also our past experiences working behind the counter, and also working or buying at the counter for video games. So would love to hear your guys' stories, so feel free to chime in on the chat whenever you can. We're both live on YouTube and Twitch, and also if you want to join after the show, jumping on the Discord, jumping on X, right? Socials will be in the description of the show. So awesome. With that said, I would love to get into some history here in this week of gaming history. You guys agree?
Let's get to it.
All right. So for this presentation, I wanted to kind of call back to a specific era in time. So hold on to your nostalgia goggles, because here we go. All right. So starting this week,
plays the PlayStation boot up noise and then throws Mega Man X3 for the SNES up on the screen.
To be fair, this was also out to Saturn.
Saturn and PlayStation.
Yeah, that doesn't help you.
Yeah, Saturn and PlayStation.
There we go.
But yes, December 1st in 1995, Mega Man X3 for the Super Nintendo came out in Japan. Maybe somebody on chat or you guys can correct me. Wasn't this the one that used the Super FX chip, or was that 2? Because one of the bosses was Sigma's like polygonal head, and that used the Super FX chip in the game. So I don't remember if it was 3 or 2, but I think it was. They definitely used it in 3 for sure.
It maps and transforms wireframes of Capcom's second and third games of the Mega Man X series.
Okay, so 2nd and 3. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Okay, good memories with this game. I do remember it. being super expensive, from what I recall. The reason for this is because I actually picked up Mega Man X1 for $20 in the Babbage's bargain bin. Right. And then 2 was like, I just rented 2. And then this was at the tail end of the Super Nintendo. And I was like, okay, well, I'm ready to move on to the next console, but they're still releasing games. And X3 was like $80 from what I remember. I did the inflation calculator. Guys, this game, if you bought it right now, it would be $170. That is crazy from 1995 to 2024. So if you have a new copy of this, it held its value really well, to be honest with you. So I think this game's like $300, brand new sealed, probably more, to be honest.
According to price charting, which a lot of retro collectors kind of swear by, other ones swear against it because they hate it so much.
Inflated,
The loose price of just the cart is kind of hovering around $320.
Ooh-wee. What's it sealed? 3,000?
No, grand.
Oh, it's still
Oh,
awesome.
no, sorry. No, that's complete in box. That is not sealed.
Oh, complete in box is a great. So the cardboard that came with the game is worth more.
If you have that, and the instruction booklets and the insert and the little plastic dust cover,
yeah,
complete.
That's beautiful. Oh, to dream to have a whole library of 3K.
Yeah, new price.
All right.
Dang, 3 and hey, maybe you want to go out there and be one of those people getting it graded. It looks like there was a sale of a graded one that was $3,800.
Mega Man X 3K. That's exactly how much that is. A few other titles, notable titles that released on December 1st. Monster Hunter Freedom on the PSP back in 2005. Also in Japan, Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS in 2011 in Japan. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six came out on multiple platforms in 2015. And I wanted to add this because this is actually the prequel to Remnant. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Remnant, but the game was called Chronos Before the Ashes, which also released in multiple platforms back in 2020. So,
okay.
Yeah. Any memories on those games or anything that comes to mind?
I don't have anything for that other than I remember when Siege launched and it didn't set the world on fire, but got progressively better. And has a really, really big following now. They've added more operators and kind of fleshed out the game a little bit more. But yeah, definitely want to remember not starting great, but having a happy ending.
You're correct on that. My memory of that is it did not start great. Then it progressively got better and it became one of the most popular like competitive shooters out there.
Yeah, especially with all those other like shooters that were out at the time. It was kind of starting to become a saturated market, or at least it started to see enough of a variety of titles come out that just did things better. So it's one of those things that the Siege team was like, okay, we need to either change up our content or retweak it or it's like rethink it. But yeah, no, it started slow, but I mean, that was, you said it was 2015 when it launched?
2015, yeah. It probably also had a fight a branding issue, right? Or like we wanted Vegas, you and I, right?
Yeah, and Vegas 3 or whatever they were promising. There was a Game Informer article. There was supposed to be like a follow-up to it, like Patriots or something like that, if I remember right.
It was supposed to end the story of Vegas because we know it ended on a cliffhanger, right? So I was waiting for that. Then we got Siege, and I was like, "Wait, what is this? This is a competitive game? Like there's no story whatsoever." Yeah. And so that was going against it, in my opinion, because unlike I would say the more common audience that you have, they're not going to follow these games step by step like we do. So they're probably expecting like the ending to the trilogy, and they got Siege instead.
Hey, hats off to that team. They stuck with it and improved it. And
yes.
Now it has a really solid following.
Absolutely. And this is why I honestly believe if you believe in a game, don't give up and, take that time. I feel like a lot of games just need to take time, right? But they're under a lot of like pressure to release it early.
Hey man,
right?
That's why there's still some people playing Anthem.
Bro, that's me. I just don't tell anybody I do that. I actually log off the internet.
I was gonna say you go invisible whenever you log out. Like I thought you were just out tonight.
Yeah, I turn off my internet, then I start playing it, which is impossible because you can't play with the internet.
Playing Anthem incognito.
Here's the thing too. It's like that game to me is actually quite fun, in my opinion, for what it is, right? For what it was promised, definitely lacking, but what was there was actually quite entertaining for me. That's all I got to say about that game.
Didn't have to deal with server issues, load issues, and a bunch of other things. Yeah, the loop was okay. It was enjoyable enough, but like you said, it was up against what we were promised.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the next day here. All right, so surprise, surprise, this is the theme of what you were listening to earlier. Quake 3 Arena on the PC came out in 1999, December 2, right before was that Y2K, right? Perfect theme for Y2K. Yeah, we talked about this game many times on the stream, and just for the record, this was a steelbook that was always a steelbook when you bought the game. Right, no matter how, it's naturally just a steelbook, which is cool because the game was very like metal and gritty and like futuristic, right? So just like Quake, right? And I just remember that logo was super clean, and then the last boss was this like monk that had the railgun, and if you like peek in the corner, he just kill you. Like that's how difficult that last boss was, from what I remember. It's more like a nightmare than a memory.
But PTSD.
Yeah. Before I move on to the other titles, they actually released, and I don't remember, and Ace, I think you know what I'm getting to right here. They did release a mod for this game called Bid to Power, and it featured Dragon Ball characters with the Quake 3 Arena engine. So that was really fun, from what I recall, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember seeing a little something about that.
Yeah, I mean, this was when Dragon Ball was still kind of obscure. It was still on Toonami, and it wasn't like mainstream yet.
Wow, there is a video for it for someone who does have that Bid to Power mod active. Yeah, this is something special. Wow.
If you have a link, throw it in chat. Let everybody see that.
Oh yeah, sure. Right. Share with the class.
Mr. Elite, would you like to share what you're looking at over there? Other things that came out today, and this is one of my picks for today, was The Revenge of Shinobi on the Genesis back in 1989. One of my favorite fighting games of little 12-year-old James was TMNT Tournament Fighters on the Genesis in 1993. Breath of Fire 2 came out on the Super Nintendo in Japan in 1994. Samurai Showdown 2 on the Neo Geo in 1994, and The Legend of Dragoon on the PlayStation 1 in 1999 in Japan, the legendary Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance on the PS2 in 2001, Pikmin also came out on the GameCube in 2001, Prince of Persia on the PS3 and 360 in 2008, and this one was like the anime reboot. Where he had like the claw glove, and I thought this was the coolest reboot ever. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people agreed, but I do remember playing this game back in 2008, like right around this time, and I was just having a blast with it. Like this game was super cool. The presentation was cool. The bad guys were super cool.
I loved it. You're talking Sands of Time, right?
No. I'm talking about the anime reboot, the one with the red scarf. And then his girl companion.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that one's super cool. I like that one. Sands of Time's really cool too. But don't get me wrong, this reboot of that series, because they just called it Prince of Persia. The presentation was super cool. And then like you were racing against the clock because like like if the time ran out, like the sand monsters would like come out or something like that, from what I recall. Couple more games that came out that day. Marvel's Midnight Suns on multiple consoles in 2022, not that long ago. And I wanted to throw in the Callisto Protocol in there. Also came out in multiple consoles back in 2022.
Speaking about what was promised and what we got.
Yeah, I was going to say, has anyone here played the Callisto Protocol yet?
I did not myself. Sorry, go ahead, Ace.
I was going to say, I haven't played it, but Chop actually has.
Oh, weird. Okay, let me put that here. If you don't mind, Chop. Chop says, weird fact, my brother sold me a PC in late 2000. For some reason, Quake 3 couldn't run it, but UT could. So I'm still an Unreal fan because of it. Quake 3 was an interesting one. I felt like it really maxed out your 3DFX chip at the time. And if you didn't have it, it'd be hard times for your computer, that's for sure.
All I remember about the Callisto Protocol is a buddy of mine is a humongous Dead Space fan, and they were like really looking forward to playing that game, and then it came out and it was super disappointing. And I just remember like broke their heart, broke a lot of people's heart who was like kind of like looking forward to it. I thought it looked good, but it's not my kind of game.
It's so immediately upon first sight, I would agree that yeah, it's the Dead Space competitor, right? But apparently, after watching some streamers, the combat is like Punch Out, and I was like, what?
What?
so
Hold
they
up.
so
No,
they
please.
say like when you're dodging attacks and attacking the monsters, it becomes this like small mini game of puzzles. Like if it's swiping right, you dodge left, right? And it's like that's how it changes the game a little bit, the combat. So that caught a lot of people off guard, and I think that was like I know I think a lot of people were like, well, I didn't expect that, you know, because think about it, Punch Out is more of a puzzle game than it is like an action game, right?
Yep.
Hey, look, Andre says Callisto Protocol is basically that, so we hit it right on the head there. Also, I love XCOM, and I really want to get into Midnight Sun here pretty soon. All right, we'll go on to the next day here. December 3rd, the PlayStation console released in 1994. And if you missed that from earlier, here it is for you again.
I feel the like tingles in the back of my skull.
Yeah, and this is when you cross your fingers and you're like, please load, please load.
The sound that started it all.
Yeah, and then you turn the console upside down. That's what I did to see if it would load. So that's me. Anybody in chat know why we did that? And if you have the answer, that'd be awesome. You get brownie points for tonight. So
There's your extra credit.
yeah, you get your bonus points here. A couple other games that came out this day. Super Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo back in 1991. I read somewhere that was technically supposedly like a reboot of the series, but
Yeah.
they just kind of rolled with the punches on that.
It's also a lot of people's favorite one too.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I from my recollection, that was the first time where you can kind of like twirl the whip around. So that was kind of neat. So I wanted to throw this one there for Leet here. Star Wars Shadows of the Empire on the N64 in 1996.
Oh my god. Oh, Dash Rendar. Oh, such
Dash
a great
Rendar.
name. I wanted it to be so good.
You know,
This was on the back of me loving Rogue Squadron on the 64 because I played
Rogue
that
Squadron
title.
was hot fire.
Yeah. Loved that title so much. So when I saw there was another Star Wars game on the 64, I bought Shadows of the Empire, and Rogue Squadron, it was not. Like I just remember getting caught on the train level.
Oh my god,
like,
that's what I was about to say too.
Yeah, so long. It's that jank. It kind of reminds me of like Bubsy when Bubsy went 3D. It's just like jank 3D platforming on a joystick and controller that didn't really like translate that very well. So yeah, no, I have like nightmares about that game. I went back and replayed it.
I'm sorry.
I want to say like a few years back, and it was. I like it more than I remember, but it still has like that 64 controller, man, trying to move around that 3D character.
Yeah, tough times during that time. And a lot of games back in the PlayStation era, 64 era, like that second joystick was never really used for camera for some reason. Like for some reason they just never thought about that, right? I don't know why, but I guess it is what it is. I wanted to include this box because, you know, we always see the console at work and you know, at our old job, but we never really see the box, especially one with the sticker saying game included Battle Arena to Shinden.
Oh.
So
Man,
classic title. That's the pack-in that moved it.
that's it right there.
yeah. No, I mean okay, I remember my first time going hands-on with the PlayStation was in the game kiosks they used to have at Target.
Mm-hmm.
And
Get a stare up.
oh, if I went to Target, whether it was by myself or with my parents, they would have to keep a close eye on me because I would get to the PlayStation. I'd get on either Jumping Flash or Battle Arena Toshinden, and I would not stop.
You know, and I think this is probably one of the few consoles bundled with a fighting game. Which is, can you guys think of any other consoles bundled with a fighting game? Was Soul Calibur bundled with the Dreamcast? Right? Like you don't like I can only imagine how many Super Nintendos would have sold later on after the initial release if they bundled with Street Fighter 2. I think that would have been a great great bundle deal. For everybody.
Yeah, or like a Killer Instinct bundle.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because they were a Nintendo property at the time, so that's perfect. Oh, that's amazing.
And also imagine a KI bundle for the Super NES, but if they actually had a black console
Oh, dude, stop
to
talking.
match the cartridge.
It's a console that looks like Fulgore. Yeah, you win, Nintendo. You take my money.
One thing, like you were mentioning the Dreamcast pack-in, I don't remember a pack-in specifically, except for like they did a bunch of special edition consoles.
Mhm.
That's like one of the first consoles that I remember having a lot of special editions. Like I had the Sega Sports Dreamcast; it was like the jet black one,
Mhm.
but there was like a Hello Kitty one. There was a like official. This is like official. And then a couple other ones as well. I'm trying to find the pictures of them, but there's some like really cool, super rare like Dreamcast variants out there. A lot of them are the Japanese market ones, but it's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. No, I think that's like just cool to have on display if you can manage to find them. I mean, if you also had the box, it'd be great, but just having the console on your shelf from different versions
Yeah.
of it, super fun to
I would say
collect.
more often than not, working at the retro store, Dreamcast would be the one of the like from that era would be the one console that always, not always, but pretty regularly had its box in
Yeah,
some condition. PS1, not a chance.
not a
64,
chance. Not a
very
chance.
rarely. Super Nintendo and original Nintendo, definitely not. Or like super. That's why that's like super hard to get a hold of. People go
Yeah.
to these retro events and buy just the boxes that people are like digging up out
Yeah.
of storage and stuff just to try to complete it. But Dreamcast was pretty regular. I remember it doesn't move the price needle much, but I mean, I loved it.
No, I think it's cool. Just like seeing this box right here, just brings me back to just makes me younger, feel younger again. So it's pretty
Ah,
dope.
the
Younger and older at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yep. Yep.
I would say that the first time I actually saw the PlayStation like in its box was it was actually in, I want to say 97, 98, because one of my friends in middle school, his stepdad bought bought the PlayStation and bought it specifically for Armored Core and Final Fantasy VII.
Yep. That sounds about right. I mean, those are two way different games, but Final Fantasy VII, and he must like really mechs a lot then if he decided to pick that game up for that. So that's cool. Mine was I was living in my aunt's house at the time because we were in the middle of moving, and I went to some retro game store up in Richmond, Canada, and I forgot what it was called, but it was like their version of Funko Land. You guys remember Funko Land, right? And they had PlayStation, like this box right up on the shelf there, and I was like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" Like the little kid, like eyes wide, so stuff like that. And we were able to rent it, not buy it, but we were able to rent it for a few days, and that was a very entertaining. I remember renting Soul Blade. Yeah, I was like Soul Blade and Tekken 2, and then Street Fighter Alpha 1. We just played all fighting games. My cousin and I just played fighting games, and he won all the time. So that was great. That was a memory there.
You got the good ones though.
Yeah, I know, right? A couple other games that came out: Super Smash Brothers Melee in the GameCube back in 2001. Shout out to the GameCube. Dragon Ball Z Budokai on the PS2 in 2002. Samurai Warriors 3 on the Wii in 2009 in Japan. The obscure Souls-like game called Let It Die on the PS4 in 2016. Shout out to anybody in chat that know what Let It Die is, and if you're good at it, even better. Immortals Phoenix Rising also came out at a bunch of consoles in 2020, and tonight is actually the release night for Diesel Legacy: The Brazen Age. Comes out on Steam and multiple consoles. And if you guys don't know what that is, I would highly check it out. It is like how do they call this? It is a brawler fighting game, which is like a beat 'em up style. So it's super cool. It's very steampunk ish. Let me see if I can put it on the chat. Y'all can check it out. I've seen a lot of streamers play this game in early access. So guys, check that out. Give them a shout out. They're really cool. Okay.
Yeah, definitely
All right.
want to give that one a look.
All right. So, aside from the obvious, I played Budokai a lot, right? And Melee is one of the most popular fighting games on the GameCube. Though my memory of Samurai Warriors 3 was testing out that game to test out Wii controllers at the retro store. And there was something unique about it where, like, I think you had to swing it like a sword to do your super or your muso. So the Wii had a really good way of making you play the game a little bit different, from what I recall. And I think that's very clever of Omega Force and Koei Tecmo to do that on a different console that know that it's not really in the same comparison in level of like the PS3 and, like the 360, right? So I think that was very clever of them to do that. Also, Let It Die, from what I recall, it was like supposedly it's a free to play game, by the way, and you go up these towers, but it's multiplayer, and it's like Dark Souls PvP, right? And then I think Blue Riot Bot in chat does a very good job of explaining what it is. So if you got any questions about Let It Die, I think Blue knows a lot about that game. So shout out to Blue in chat. All right. All right, so next one here. On the 4th of December, we got Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U in 2015. I wanted to feature this one because this game is being re-released on the Switch. Finally, it's the last Xenoblade game to make it on the Switch. It is now officially all there, except for Gears. So it's officially all there. Other notable games that came out that day would be Mega Man 5 on the Nintendo back in, does that say 19? I'm missing a number.
19.9.
Yeah, 19.9. Maybe
19.9X.
19.9.
Yeah. I was about to say, put the 199X there.
19.9X. There you go. Back in Japan.
Yes.
That's a very Mega Man timeline right there. One of the rarest RPGs on the Super Nintendo, in my opinion, Lufia and the Fortress of Doom on the Super Nintendo in 1993. Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, also came out on the PS2 in 2001. I wanted to shout out Gran Turismo 4 on the PS2 in 2003. Came out in Japan. Far Cry 3 came out on multiple consoles in 2012. And Samurai Warriors Chronicles 3, and I will ask Ace here in a second here, what is the Chronicles version of Samurai Warriors? Also came out on the 3DS Vita in 2014 in Japan. And last but not least of that, Just Cause 4 came out on PC, Xbox One, and PS4 back in 2018. So what is up with the Chronicles?
Now, Chronicles 3 on the 3DS and Vita, that was basically Koei Tecmo porting Samurai Warriors 3 from the Wii onto portable consoles. Part of that was also adding two new original characters to the roster, which would eventually be added to Samurai Warriors 4 as the official templates for the custom characters in that game.
Okay.
So what is the ending on those? I know, or something different. I played a lot of the Empires versions, which are more of the strategy based ones. Is Chronicles any different than the regular line?
Is it like the samurai version of the Dynasty?
Yeah, and for Samurai Warriors Chronicles, that was basically that one is basically more of like, the mainline games. So it's basically Samurai Warriors 3 and the Extreme Legends content, but also with the two custom characters.
Gotcha. No, that's value. So I'm glad that they're kind of like making it different enough. And you're like, hey, you don't have a Wii? Let's throw the content on the Wii on here too, just in case, right? Because we know our player base is here, not on the Wii. So
exactly.
Yes, very smart, very smart. All right, so we go on to the next day here, and December 5th. Our featured game is the Yu-Gi-Oh! The False Bound Kingdom on the GameCube in 2002 in Japan. I wanted to feature this one because it came with 3 Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. And, when at the time, that was the cool thing at the time, according to Grandpa Simpson. But here's the problem. I thought this was Forbidden Memories, because Forbidden Memories came out on the PlayStation. Because of that one, you got the God cards, right?
Oh, so you got the
I got the games wrong. I checked on this one. You still got some cool cards, but they weren't the god cards. But the god cards are in the game, like as you see in the back over there. So that was, I think where I got confused. So that's super cool. I don't know. Did you guys play any Yu-Gi-Oh games aside from the card game, like on console or anything like that?
I actually played Forbidden Memories for a little bit.
Yeah, I did too, and I might as well play it since I got the god cards from it. So and I do remember a lot of people were buying that game for the god cards, and they weren't really legal at the time. They just wanted it because of the show. And honestly, the card game got me. They got me playing the card game because of the show. Even though the show lied to you because they don't follow the rules, right? So that's what I remember.
Right.
I did not play that at all. Yu-Gi-Oh just wasn't my jam. I didn't play a lot of like tabletop card games or anything at the time. I just like the only thing I really know about it is in my WoW guild for a while there, one of the like regular raiders, actually still at his age, this was like a year or two ago, so he's like our age, he's still going to like national tournaments for Yu-Gi-Oh, and he ended up placing, I think he got in top 3, and the winners of that tournament got oversized Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So he has like an oversized from winning it. It's like that's pretty cool. You didn't get banished to the Shadow Realm. That's pretty cool, man.
The question is, where do you get a sleeve for that kind of that size of card? So
you don't. I think you got to buy one of those acrylic signs you see at conventions, like the bag in it, the big old clean bag.
Chop says, my cousin told me to get a GameCube for Yu-Gi-Oh. Wow. All right, that's pretty cool. I'm assuming this one. And he also said, I have a friend who's like 46 and has played Yu-Gi-Oh since it began in America. So, fun fact, it is my first purchase on Amazon was a box of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That literally is my first purchase on Amazon when it wasn't popular yet, when it was still like a semi bookstore. That was where I bought it. It was extremely inexpensive in comparison to the stores. So, other games that came out that day on the 5th, The Last Blade came out in arcades in Japan in 1997. Baiten Kaitos, The Eternal Wings in the Lost Ocean on the GameCube in 2002 in Japan. Blessed for the remake on the Switch, which actually dropped the price down. So Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops on the PSP in 2006. Another Gran Turismo game, which is the 6th version on the PS3 in 2013 in Japan. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker on the Wii U in 2014. Dead Rising 4 on the PS4 in 2017. My inclusion of 9 Parchments on the Switch PC in 2017. And the last one is Oni-Chanbara Origin PS4 on the 2019 in Japan. So I have played many of those games. I wanted to throw in 9 Parchments. Does anybody know what 9 Parchments is?
Oh, I thought you were saying you played many of those in Chanbara games. Nice.
No, I only played High School Zombie Killer or something. I can't remember what it was.
I did not play 9 Parchments though.
Yeah, so it is like have you guys played Magicka?
Like
No. So yeah, Magicka is like an isometric like wizard game where it's a twin stick shooter, right? Pretty much kind of like First Helldivers. But the difference is that when you cast your magic, there's actually like physics behind it, kind of like Trine. So like if you're with another wizard, you guys can combine your magic and it'll turn into something else. Right. So it's a super fun. So think about a twin stick shooter where if your like beams collide, they turn into something different and that, then you guys got to co-op. Neat. So it's super fun, and it's like 4 players, so you can get really crazy. You can like one-shot bosses with it if you guys play it right. So it's a super fun game if you guys want to check that out.
Yeah, it's got that isometric view, so it reminds me a lot of like the Tomb Raider game that came out recently, the 4-person top-down one.
Tomb of Light, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And Ace, I know you've played Oni-Chanbara, right? Yeah, it's specifically Origin, or is there a different one?
I think I haven't played Origin, but I think I've got Z Chaos on the PS4.
Well, and is that the remake or a remaster version of it? Okay, cool. Yeah. And it plays like a Muso, right? Or like a beat 'em up? Okay. Yeah. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
Do you know, Ace? Well, actually, you know what? I'm sure you probably know if you played a lot of them. They made a movie of that series, like a live
Go
action.
on.
They did. They made a live action Shibara.
Huh.
Did they now? All right, show's over, folks. We're gonna go watch that movie.
Have your safe search on.
There you
It's like,
go.
oh,
There you go.
time to go to the AV room and find the VCR so I can watch this.
All right.
It doesn't need a VHS. It came out in 2008.
That's how what is that dark web it is. It's got to be on a VHS tape.
I tossed the cover up for you, Ace, in Discord.
All right, so on the 6th of December, we got The Lost Odyssey on the 360 in 2007 in Japan. Man, when is this game going to get some love and a remake or a re-release or anything?
I held on to my copy for so long. I love that game.
It's one of those games where I'm like, it's only found physically on the 360, like the little stamp on the top, only on 360, and they've held true to that until on hit Steam, right? So if you want a physical copy, it's only going to be on 360 because I don't know what they're doing with this. There's no sequels or anything, offshoots, and it was a pretty impressive game from what I recall. So. Yeah. Any stories on Lost Odyssey, Nick, from what you remember?
No, just I remember absolutely loving this game. And it wasn't my usual style when I first picked it up when it came out on 360. We had talked about this a couple weeks ago. Ace, I remember we were talking about the jump from the previous generation to PS3 360 and how it kind of flopped from PS2 and Sony kind of being known for RPGs and JRPGs, and then all of a sudden 360 had all of these JRPGs out of nowhere. They're either multi-platform or something like this, which was specifically published by Microsoft Game Studios.
Yeah, like this and what you call it, Magna Carta 2. I can think of as the other one.
Infinite Undiscovery.
Yeah, and then The Last Remnant also.
Remnant as well. Yeah. No, I remember because it was this, and I remember a lot of people were really wanting Final Fantasy 13 to be good, and it was kind of hit or miss when it first came out. But I mean, then it picked up steam and had 2 other releases. But like this being owned or not owned, but published, and the IP might be owned by Microsoft was kind of a big deal because it was a very good game. It was mature storyline too. Like the main character is a what was it? He's immortal, and he's like basically like recounting all the like people that's passed through his life kind of thing, and he doesn't want to make any attachment. So it's got a really cool story, and it's not too melodramatic. I remember talking to Sakaguchi Sensei when he was at PAX. I want to say that was I think I have it up on my wall. He signed the pass for me. I was just telling him how much I loved that game and how much he was like, "Oh, I really appreciate it. I liked it too." So it had a lot of love for it, but no follow up. Who knows where it is?
Yeah, and I think it's time, Microsoft, reach in the vault, crack open Lost Odyssey, and call it the last.
People would rather have. What would you rather have? Would you rather have Lost Odyssey or Scalebound?
I don't think Scalebound
was another one there that a lot of people wanted.
I don't think Scalebound's gonna happen ever. If it does happen, it's not gonna be by Platinum. It's gonna be a totally different game what they imagined for it. So
you got to choose though. You got to choose that.
I would choose
Scalebound or Half-Life 3.
Wow.
You get one. The monkey's paw curls.
We're starting off the show real quick. My vote will go to Lost Odyssey for the fact that this game needs a comeback. And like you said, there's not a lot of RPGs known on the Xbox, right? So I feel like creating this and making it awesome will really kind of set the stage for them to be like, hey, you can play these kind of games on the Xbox also. Stop putting it all on PlayStation,
And it wasn't just someone doing it either. It was the creator of the Final Fantasy series.
Correct.
It had the talent and passion and skills behind it to be a good game, and it was a good game. What I can't remember, was that 4 discs? Was it 3 or 4?
I think this was 3.
Okay. I just for the 360 as well. It was like it was
Three DVDs.
a lot.
It was probably 3 dual layer DVDs, to be honest with you.
I just remember packing those. What we did is we put them into sleeves, and you can do 2 discs in the sleeve before it like bursts open. So you had to tape 2 sleeves together when you filed them away because there's how many discs in there. I could have swore it was 4 discs. I'm gonna look it up. Continue.
Maybe the fourth one was like a special, behind the scenes, or I don't know. You could be 4. I don't know.
4.
Was it 4? Okay.
It was 4 dual layer DVDs.
Oh my god, that is fatter than Metal Gear Solid. I think, if you think about that. Yeah,
my favorite part about searching that is the very first thing that shows up after the Wikipedia is GameFAQs. First question: why does this game have 4 discs?
From what I remember, it did have a lot of great cutscenes. So a lot of the cutscenes took up that space. So also shout out to Andre and Blue for picking Lost Odyssey. That's awesome. Blue says
I think the general consensus here, if we had to pick between those games in particular, I think the general consensus is Lost Odyssey.
That's true, and then like what Blue said, he accepted Half-Life's fate already, so they just don't know how to count to 3. Next thing you know, it's gonna be like Half-Life 4 for life, Half-Life for life, something like that. Like what happened to 3? I know. I know.
Move on before you destroy my soul.
Don't put that evil on the audience. All right. So other games that came out that day on December 6th was Joe and Mac on the Super Nintendo in 1991 in Japan. And fun fact, Joe and Mac was called Caveman Ninjas in Japan, not Joe and Mac. So super cool. Mega Man 4 on the NES back in 1994. Does that look right? 1994? I think so. Japan. And Final Fantasy V on the Super Nintendo came out in 1992 in Japan. A lot of Japanese releases this month. Parappa the Rapper, the PlayStation, came out in 1996, also Japan. American McGee's Alice, one of my picks for this list, also needs a remake, please, on PC in 2000. And I'm going to pause right there because before I lose this thought, right? The guys that made Liza P needs to make that next game. That's all I'm saying. So, Grandia 2 on the Dreamcast in 2000. Mario Party 6 on the GameCube in 2004. Star Wars KOTOR, The Old Republic 2. KOTOR 2, The Sith Lords, that was a long title, on the Xbox in 2004. I would like to ask Nick a little bit more about that because there's a remake coming, if there's that. And see here, No More Heroes on the Wii in 2007 in Japan. Yakuza 5 on the PS3 in 2012 in Japan. And I think that was only digital in the US. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Yakuza 5 was only digital in the US until the release of the Yakuza Remastered Collection.
I love Sega for doing that. That's awesome. Like, here's a case for you. And then Last Guardian on the PS4 in 2016, which is made by the same team that did Ico, from what I recall. Yeah. Ashen also came out on PC in 2018, but I also swear I saw that on Xbox One because it was like a Dark Souls-like game for that console. And the ever popular Hades came out on PC back in 2018. So a lot of good games on 12.6.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, comments on any of that? KOTOR, Yakuza 5?
For me, it was KOTOR 2.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Because I was just such a fan of the first one. I wanted to love the second one. And for the most part, I do. A lot of my friends who played that series kind of felt the same, where the ending of that game left a lot to be desired. It felt like it was building to a lot more than what we got, but I do appreciate they fleshed everything out a little bit more, a lot of quality of life updates. I liked the ideas they were putting in the 2. It just kind of fell flat at the end, and the writing was a little bit suspect. At least that's just my opinion. You mentioned the remake. It is in development hell. I am going to parrot what Blue said earlier and say I've resigned my fate to it, because I don't know if that's ever coming out, and I'm not holding my breath anymore. It's gone through so many iterations and jumped to multiple dev teams. For a while there, I think it went to the team that did all the ports. Can't remember off the top of my head.
Deep Silver?
No. It's a indie publishing kind of thing who started to pick up more stuff. They were known basically for republishing older games, like updates, like the Knights of the Republic but not the Knights of the Republic. The Jedi Outcast Jedi Academy 2-pack was them re-releasing it.
Mm.
So it was
Look
just
at
it was given to a team that didn't have any like history of actually developing a full scale game. They've just been like updating and re-releasing these games that were already out. So that was in development hell for the longest time, and then it got kicked back. It was nowhere near complete to the main shareholders, and then it was given to another team. I don't know if it'll ever come out. To be honest, I had more hope for the mod. Someone was doing like an Unreal 4 update or an Unreal update to the original Knights of the
Ooh.
Republic, which would have been really, really cool to see like an
Yeah.
updated version of that still stayed true to what was there before. But at this point, I'm just, like I said, like Blue said, I'm not holding my breath. I've resigned my fate. I'll see it if it comes out. I'll be happy it did, but I don't expect it anytime soon. It just apparently has so many issues trying to get that modernized. Which is too bad because I would love to actually have like a more solid ending or a continuation of it. I loved KOTOR. That's what got me onto BioWare pretty early.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Here's the thing. Confessions out. I haven't actually played any of those. Pattern, if you see a pattern for the type of games that is. Apparently with games with decisions, I just don't play. But I think now is the perfect time for anybody that wants to like circle back to those games, and that game needs to be released ASAP.
Well, it was living in the universe that it felt more lived in and believable than a lot of other games at the time. Like even more so than Star Wars Galaxies. This felt like you were going to these seedy cantinas and you're able to interact with these stories, and it had those companions you could have like conversations with and influence. The second one was kind of notorious because almost every single companion character could be turned into a Sith or a Jedi. Like at some point, they all became force sensitive. They didn't have like in the first game, they were kind of like had archetypes, right? But in the second game, it's like everyone at some point through their storylines, if you really got to know them and did the side quests and stuff, like they could just be force sensitive. Like there were so many Jedis that kind of cheapened it. It was a little weird, like looking back on it.
Yeah, Ace, anything on the docket for you on these games here? Yakuza 5 or any Grandia 2? I feel like you would
yeah. Grandia 2 definitely. Really quickly on Yakuza 5 though.
Yeah.
Best. Sorry. But personal opinion here.
Okay, hold on. Because you and I have played it the most on staff here. Like, what are you throwing out now?
Best theme song in the series. The Battle for the Dream. It does not get much more hype than that.
I mean, it's called Battle for the Dream.
Yeah.
Like
that's fair.
Like that is that right there was the track that made me go, okay, I should put some Yakuza music on a CD so I can bump it in the truck.
Have a good night, Chop.
Yeah, have a good night, Chop. Thanks for coming on.
All right, take it easy, buddy.
It's too bad that it has that banger of a soundtrack because it has one of the worst parts of the game in the entire series where you play as one of the characters, like the character sections.
Mm-hmm.
One of the worst in Yakuza 5, where you're up in the mountains in the snow with Saijima. Like that whole side story was so slow paced and boring. It sucks because I liked him later in the game when he's like actually in town, but like being stuck up in the woods and stuff was just so plodding and tired.
I'm right there with you on that.
That was not a hot take if you're a fan of the series.
Sounds very cold in the mountains.
It's like I don't have a rebuttal for that. That mountain segment, nah, miss me with all that.
I am totally down to watch you guys play and debate Yakuza games. So that sounds entertaining to me.
It would be great to have you sit in Zero, because Zero is still peak for me and a lot of it, but also
Zero.
Yakuza 4, just because you get to play as so many different characters. Like 4 was a lot of fun. Each one had their own like fighting style too, not just their story. So it was like really interesting to see like different stuff, because that wasn't really done in that series at the time. We had 1, 2, 3, and then we had 4, and 4 was like kind of a bigger leap than what you had before.
And on that roster, like as much as I love Akiyama, and especially the he action where he like rolls up a magazine and just crams it up your tailpipe, nah, Tanimura was my dude. Oh, his takedowns and his arrests were so
yeah.
It sounds like you guys are saying names. Like who? What?
Yeah,
that's awesome. I have watched Andrew play it a little bit, 5, and I was like, oh, that's cool, like the heat moves and stuff like that. So it's very entertaining for what I saw. I mean, for me, Joe and Mac was probably one of my first Super Nintendo games I rented, which was like Contra, right? And then I wanted to play Final Fantasy V, but that never came out in America. So that was my story with those.
Right.
You know.
But no, as far as Grandia 2 though, that if I hadn't played Skies of Arcadia, Grandia 2 would be my top JRPG on the system.
Oh. Now there's 2, and then there's like 3, and then there's like Extreme, and then there's like more, right? Like where do you think like it peaked to?
Oh, without question.
Okay.
And it should be no surprise that both 1 and 2 were re-released on Steam.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and I'm sure like there are a lot of quality of life changes, right? That's pretty sweet. Okay. All right. If nothing else, let's move on to the last day of December.
Of this week of December.
Oh yeah, of this week, the 7th. All right. So hey, look at that. So another famous Xbox JRPG. Blue Dragon came out on December 7th on the 360 in 2006 in Japan. Very notable for Akira Toriyama's art direction. Hence why I wanted to feature that. You know, shout out to Akira Toriyama. Rest in peace. Right there. Thank you for everything. And before we jump into the Blue Dragon conversation, let me talk about all the other games here. Baseball on the Nintendo in 1983 came out in Japan, just straight up baseball. So there's no other
That's one that
explanation
looked like
for
it
that.
had Mario as the umpire on that.
As the umpire, and I think that was like so cute that they snuck Mario into like other non-Mario games. I thought that was very clever. Now, if Sega did that with Sonic, that'd be super funny as well.
They've been trying to. I mean, look at all the Olympics games.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Mario and Sonic.
And I think, any company that just leans into its like characters, like Capcom, like I said, they really need it. It really gets me like, going like, that's so cool. Like they just love their characters. So speaking of characters, Mario Party 3 also came out that day on the N64 back in 2000s in Japan. I asked this on stream. Has anybody played Kubon on the PS2 in 2004? I think that game was like Siren, from what I recall. I can't remember which one came out first, but it's a horror game on the PS2. Mega Man X8 also came out on the PS2 in 2004. A fun one, Hokuto no Ken, Fist of the North Star, on the arcade in 2005, and we'll chat about that in a second. Yakuza 2 on the PS2 in 2006 in Japan. The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks on the DS in 2009, arguably the best Zelda ever to be released. JK. Earth Defense Force 5 on the PS4 in 2017 in Japan. Monster Hunter World also made its debut in 2017 on the PS4 in Japan. And the GOAT, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Switch, also came out in 2018. So lots of bangers that came out today. Sorry.
JNG was just talking about Smash Brothers in chat.
Mario Party is how you start fights. Smash Brothers is how you settle the ensuing fight. I love that.
Yep.
I love that. I want to play this game so I can beat you in this other game. I love that. That's so cool. Blisters and controller changes are the first two things that come to my brain on Mario Party 3, because I can only imagine all the tops missing from the joystick in Mario Party 3 because of all the mini games you'll have to play from that. Right. Also, all the broken friendships for star stealing, you bastards. I hate all of you. And Hokuto no Ken, if you guys haven't seen this, and maybe we can try to find a photo of this arcade, but it was an arcade that was composed of 6 pads, top, middle, bottom. And then on the screen, you would fight, one of the characters in the show, and depending on the animation, you would punch the certain pad, and at the end, you just punch all of them as fast as possible, like in Hokuto no Ken. It's super cool, and it's like a workout, and I feel like this is a game that needs to come out now again, so for home console. Yeah. And I think, don't quote me here, but I think they do have a version on the Switch. Look it up. I saw it one time. It's a very rare copy, so I think I'm gonna find a copy of that just to have. I think it's super cool. But yes, aside from the obvious Monster Hunter World being the best Monster Hunter game to ever be released, I think that's what brought Monster Hunter on the map for the masses, right? And Smash Bros. Ultimate being the best Smash Bros. Out there with its roster of characters, right? I would say
Smash Brothers Ultimate being the Smash Brothers game where we finally got Sora.
Smash Brothers Ultimate is the end game for Smash Brothers Ultimate, Smash Brothers series. So, did anybody here or chat play Blue Dragon?
I did.
You did? I tried a little bit of it and I liked it. I think this was maybe a product of its time, but as much as like colorful Akira Toriyama's art was, I felt like Blue Dragon didn't have a lot of color. Maybe it was the area I was at. A lot of metal.
It was also probably the 3D models kind of pulled away from the art style a little bit, because a lot of people were expecting like something along the lines of like Chrono Trigger, where you have like a very discernible style. But this was like 3D, didn't have that same kind of feel. So I mean, that could be more likely what you were getting from that. That's just my take on it. But I mean, this game had a lot of talent behind it. This was Mistwalker again that did this. So you had Sakaguchi, you had Nobuo Uematsu. He was there doing the soundtrack for it, and Akira Toriyama doing the art design. Like that was like a top three in their respective fields of like OGs doing this title.
You basically had the Chrono Trigger dream team. Right?
Wow, to have that again, that'd be amazing.
I found a picture, by the way, if you want to share my screen.
Yeah, for sure. Let me see
here. That was the arcade machine, and then the two-person
arcade
so cool.
machine. That's so cool. Those are fists, right? On the out. No, these are art pieces. Okay, cool.
Yeah, those are art pieces, but you can see like the 6 different punch locations for high, mid, low.
Yeah, so I did play this at the arcade in the mall for briefly when it was there. So chat, the way it would work is like it would be like start round 1 fight, and then like a corner of the screen would flash, and the corresponding paddle would pop out. Then you punch it, right, to like counter the punch or block whatever. And then you do that enough times, so it's kind of like Punch Out. You do that enough times and it will start flashing and all the paddles will come out, and you're supposed to punch all of them as fast as you can, just like Kenshiro. Yeah, and then you get your bonus points after that. And then you'd be so tired. It's like DDR for your arms, right? You'd be so tired you don't play the second round. It's pretty cool.
I feel like one of these nights, instead of just going to the gym together, we should just hook up this machine and just stream it.
Yeah, and then just crank it up, and all you hear is that's all you would hear all the time. But I had a good time for how short lived this was in the arcade. So it was super cool from what I recall. So good times, great oldies. But all right, so what was that? Yeah, that was it.
Yep, that's history class for you.
That is history. Chad, anything else that we may have missed that those that week, or any of those bring up any memories? Like I don't know, any salty runbacks on Smash Bros, Mario Party, Mega Man X8, fighting that one boss that said the same thing over and over again.
That was X7.
Was that X7?
X7 was the PTSD.
Really?
X8 was more like, kind of the apology for X7. But like the one thing I have to say about Mega Man X8 is that the story left it on such a cliffhanger.
On X8, so meaning that we may get a 9 in the future.
Here's to hoping.
Cross the fingers. My thing about sequels like that are like not technically mainstream, like Mega Man is not mainstream anymore for Capcom, which is odd because Monster Hunter kind of got in front of Mega Man. If you think about it, that's crazy, because in the Nintendo era, Mega Man was like their star, right? So like it's now been regulated to AA. Like Mega Man, what was the last one we had? Mega Man 9 on the Switch, right?
I think 11.
Mega Man 11.
9, 10, and 11 were on the Switch.
Yeah. 11 on the Switch, that was kind of like 2.5D. Like we're probably not going to get a real Mega Man game unless like it's that again, or like it just changes the formula like Legends, right? And that's going to be a hard sell for the big wigs at Capcom, right?
I mean,
So
it's not like Inafune is still there,
right.
and
So
with Mighty Number 9, folks had their issues with Inafune.
yeah, and and hopefully we get something. Like I said, I'm always a big fan when companies like use their AAA money to fuel AA projects that are passion related, right?
Absolutely.
So hopefully that's something in the works. And
Yeah,
speaking
I
of
mean
works,
the
yeah, go
mobile
ahead.
the mobile market is just massive. A lot of people can complain, and understandably so, like a lot of their stuff being ported to that kind of like mobile arena, but the amount of money being made or possibly being made in mobile is insane. If you look
Mhm.
at a breakdown like graph of the entire industry, like consoles and PC sales, like software for those platforms, don't even add up together to equal half of what mobile markets make. It
Yeah,
is
no.
insane the amount of money. So when I see a lot of companies going that way, as long as it's done well, I'm like, okay, I understand that. For me, it was like when Diablo Immortal did their thing,
Hmm.
the way that the company handled the rollout of that, like notorious that they did at BlizzCon, like, oh, you guys don't own phones? Like,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on. Like definitely could have been handled better. I see why they did it. And the game wasn't bad. It was heavily, heavily monetized, and that's when we can start chafing. But it's like when it's done well, I can see why,
Yeah.
more often than not. Especially
And
when you see the dollar signs, you got to be able to fund like so many other things.
I hear just like developing for mobile is like quarter the cost than console, right? Like
Yeah,
everything's
yeah,
super
definitely.
super cheap. Yeah.
We've talked ad nauseum lately about like the spiraling costs of AAA game development and just why there's so many people and so many different publishing houses and dev teams that are like downsizing, losing talent, that kind of thing. Just the cost and time turnaround is just so much bigger nowadays.
Mhm. And then G&G Automation here said Rockman X Dive is what we got for next game. And you're right. I think that was it played like Mega Man X, but it was like you can download various different versions of Mega Man throughout the
Mhm.
universe. And that's what
Yeah,
you
that's
got.
right. That's right. That's right.
Um,
X Dive was the
and I think they took it out of Dead Space and they actually made it available too, right? For purchase.
I believe so.
You can have it unlocked, have everything unlocked in the game for like $20, right? So it's not like live service or mobile game anymore. You would just get everything that they released for it and just play the game. So I think that's a very clever way to bring back dead mobile games, right? Give you everything that the mobile game had and just make it offline, and then
Now, if
for
only SNK could do that with KOF All Star.
we can only dream, and I would love to get that Breath of Fire game back out of the mobile graveyard, So, but like J&G said, I won't be surprised to see a Darkstalkers mobile game, and it would be like Puzzle Fighter. If anything, it was gonna be like that. If it's gonna be a mobile game. Yeah, speaking of working, we've Nick and I have worked at a retail store and also GameStops, Mon Pa game store, and we have stories on Black Friday, and we kind of wanted to share those stories with you guys tonight. Also, if you guys have stories to share with your Black Friday experiences, please jump into chat and kind of contribute. We'd love to hear what you're talking about here. I have both stories from behind and in front of the counter for Black Friday. So with that said, let's kind of boot this up and chat about it. And hopefully it loads.
Discrete error.
Yeah, there you go. It didn't go whoop. Yeah, I messed up.
He doesn't
there.
read blueback discs anymore.
There you go. My story cannot be read. So I'm gonna kick this off by
Once you start, sorry, I'm gonna go check the food cooking. Sorry.
all good. By talking about the time I got my PlayStation 2 for the first time, and the story behind this was that, from what I recall, I was at the mall I was at Toys R Us with my dad, and I can't remember how old I was. I might have been like 14. When did it come out? From real quick, chat, if you guys know the release date for the PS2 in the US. This was like when they had a shortage of them, just like the shortage we had on the PS5. There was a shortage on the PS2, and it was very, very hard to find for the holiday. And it was released very recently, right around like November or so, right? And we were at Toys R Us. I was hoping, Dad, you can get me a PS2 for my birthday. And we were looking around. And if you guys recall, Toys R Us, to get the electronics that you want, you grab a ticket from the aisle, and then you bring that ticket to the register, and the cashier grabs the product for you behind the cage, right?
I remember.
Yep, that was the old times, the dark ages of video games, right?
Before times.
Yeah, before dedicated game stores, right? We had Toys R Us, we had KB Toy Store, then we slowly got software, etc., EB Games, GameStop, FuncoLand, right? Babbage's, all the above, right? So,
and I remember, I legit remember buying my copy of FX Fighter from
nice. I bought Mortal Kombat 1 at KB Toys, and it was Mortal Monday, right? So that was my experience with Mortal Kombat. Of course, my father had to buy it for me because, it's a mature rated game. He had to make sure that I was allowed. And he knew I already played Mortal Kombat from the arcades because he would just take me to the arcades, right? And and then I guess, that was my store for KB. But tonight, I wanted to talk about the Black Friday shopping for the PlayStation 2, the hunt for the PS2. So we were at Toys R Us, okay? And I was walking down the aisle with my dad, and it wasn't looking good because the area for PS2 was empty. It was empty. There were no more tickets left for a PS2 console, right? Maybe some accessories, and the games were there, but not the console itself. So I think he felt bad, and I ended up leaving with a game. And that game was Dynasty Warriors 2, right? Because he's like, hey, we can't get the console, but we'll get you the game at least, right? So we're checking out, and lo and behold, Destiny was there waiting for me because the guy in front of me actually had the last PS2, and he was ready to check out. And for some reason, I don't know what happened, and hopefully this man is doing pretty well in life. He did not have enough money on his credit card.
Oh no! Oh no!
The cashier said, "Sir, your card has been declined," and he was like panicking, like, "Oh no, I don't have any cash." He was like, "Can you hold it?" And then the guy was like, "No, this is a hot item. I can't hold it." And I do remember, quote, my dad goes, "I'll buy it." and then he was like, we just stole this PS2 from this guy that couldn't buy it. So
oh damn,
it was a matter
I don't know if
of
"stole's" the right word.
The opportunity.
You had money to pay for it.
Yeah, the opportunity. The opportunity is what I mean. Is that this is a good story for right moment, right time in the situation. I already had my game, and that's my story of how I got my PS2 on Black Friday, just randomly from grabbing a Dynasty Warriors 2 off the shelf at the checkout line at Toys R Us. So I just got really lucky. So I'm very appreciative and very happy of that. The other sad part of that story that can be said is I forgot to buy a memory card, so I played the first stage of Dynasty Warriors 2 over and over again. And I'm pretty sure I left that system on for hours because I could not want to play that first stage all over again. But that taught me a lesson because I think somewhere in my brain, I thought PS1 memory cards worked with PS2, and they did not. So lesson learned from that. The other flip side of this is fast forward to 2024. And, I think this was November 7th, whenever they were releasing the PS5 30th anniversary, right? So I wanted to kind of throw this in there that the idea of shopping online for hot ticket items has now changed from standing in line to a store to having the best bot to grab your console first in a line on the internet. So it is almost impossible for somebody to acquire a hot ticket item online with the amount of scalpers and resellers out there, minus, the people that are just there because their kids want it, right? And they have no knowledge of these programs that you could kind of leverage to get in front of these lines on the internet to grab these items. So I feel bad for a lot of people like that. I know I didn't get one, and I'm not too salty about it because it was just a Like, oh, that's cool. If I can get it, great. If not, then that sucks, right? But I know there's a lot of people that were hoping to get one, like for the appropriate price. And I'm part of these like Facebook groups that are collectors. And for the past month, it's just been people with like 3 or 4 of them saying, "Hey, I want to sell this for $2,000." So it's like I feel bad for those people that wanted to
selling their spots in line as well.
right. And I think that's what changed, right? Because back in the day, people were selling their spots in line, and now it's a matter of a technology arms race to get to those hot ticket items. So it's just the comparison and contrasting of purchasing on Black Friday has changed drastically from the experiences that I've had in the past, right? Specifically the story of me trying to get a PS2 at Toys R Us in line, and now I'm in line on front of my computer at 9 a.m. Trying to be in front of the line for everybody versus the world, right? Because I'm in line with the world at this point, which is pretty rough. So
yeah, I mean that very much mirrors a lot of experiences that people who go to events have to deal with. That's kind of like really clicked in the last like 6 years or so. Like I remember PAX back in the day, being able to get a ticket to PAX, like a 3-day pass and then a 4-day pass,
mhm.
months before, and you're still able to get it like a few weeks before you're able to buy one of those. But then on top of that, like the last 5 years or so, split second, you had to be there right when they refreshed it. You're checking every day to see when it's going to go live in order to get into the queue. And you can get in the queue maybe after the first minute because the website may crash,
Yeah.
and you still may not get the opportunity to buy something you basically plan your year around.
Yeah, it's a chance for you to get it. It's not
Yeah.
even a guarantee. And I think what sucks, to be honest with you, is that your chances have greatly diminished because if you think about it, I'm going to a specific store in Chicago, a specific Toys R Us to go there when they release this console. So my competition is at least Chicago, right? At most, right? But on the internet, it's all over the world, and it's way harder. So which means like the amount of supply that these distributors or these whoever supplying them needs to be like 100 times, I don't know, even more greater than an average retail store, right? Of a metropolitan city. So it's rough, and and it's like I didn't want to get one to sell it. I wanted to put it on my shelf and admire it and be like, hey, this is part of history. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people have got into the mindset of making a quick buck off like a memory and something joyful, that people wanted to collect, right? They don't want to make a quick buck off it. They want to put it on their shelf and add it to their collection. And there are going to be people that's their job is to make money off those things because people want them, so, and I don't want to end the segment on a bad note. So, there's been, when I did work at the Mon Pa store in GameStop, my recollection of Black Friday sales, aside from the parents not knowing what to get their kids or vaguely telling us what their kids want through really strange descriptions, which is my favorite because you're playing like a puzzle game with them, right? It was always a positive experience, right? And I think the only negative experience I get from customers, from what I recall back then, is not being able to get them what they want because they had no idea how popular the item was, right? So if they want to get their copy of the hot latest Call of Duty and they're like, oh man, I sold my last copy, oh dang, my kid's gonna be so upset because this is the last place it went. Like that's the stuff I don't really want to experience, but it is part of that Christmas jingle all the way kind of storytelling that you guys get. So I don't know, what do you guys have?
I want to hear from Ace. Ace shopping with us as much as he has. Do you have any Black Friday horror stories or happy stories?
Well, honestly, like most of my Black Friday shopping, largely because I'm one of the stealthier. I'm one of the stealthier people that you will find at a store. So while everyone is like crowding around one thing, I just kind of like, slip between the cracks. And it's like, oh, I'll take this, this, and this. And I am a get in and get out kind of person. Because if I have to fight someone for anything, I will make it very painful for them.
My man's a precision shopper.
Exactly.
He played Hokoto no Ken in the arcade. Watch out.
But honestly, like the big thing about Black Friday for me is that I it's like we've been talking about all this time, how like the prices on everything seem to just like get steadily marked up, and then for the Black Friday sales, it drops back down to closer to what the previous prices for items were to begin with. So it's like, discounting from discounting from the high end. So I mean, it's really gotten to that point to where I think this is one of the times where doing a lot of my shopping online, especially since Black Friday usually falls like you know within a week or 2 weeks after my birthday. So if I do get any birthday money, I usually tend to hold on to it until Black Friday when all the discounts hit, and then try to buy the stuff that I wanted to pick up for my birthday a couple weeks back.
Yeah, I get that.
It's a good call. I mean, the only for Black Friday deals, I usually try to grab the lowest bottom denominator for games. Like I said, most games I get only to $20, right? I only buy and I start picking those games up because I know that's like the lowest they'll ever be, and
Yep.
a lot of those games just reach to that point.
Yeah. I mean, Black Friday, when it rolls around for me, all I'm basically buying nowadays is I'm re-upping my subscriptions. Like I buy PSN when it's discounted and Xbox Live when it's discounted.
Annually.
Yeah, because they'll do the annual pass for like 30% off, and I'm like, okay, it's worth it at that point for me
Mhm.
to like renew, so I don't have to worry about paying monthly, and it's like a significant difference at that point. That's all it kind of shifted into for me. But like James said, I mean, there's multiple games that I keep my eye on for a while, and when the Black Friday sales hit, I just kind of take a look and see if there's something that's like, hey, I've been looking forward to this game, I haven't bought it, waiting for it to go on sale. That's a good price. I feel like that's worthwhile. I'll buy it then. But that's also because I've probably been jaded from all my times working in Black Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I worked in the mall. I worked retail for over 10 plus years. So I was just telling Ace before the stream, like the holidays, retail has ruined the holidays for me. Like there's no spirit anymore, and this only the
Yeah.
spirit of Mariah Carey.
Yeah, you and me both, man. And that's why I
Yeah.
think we were kind of talking about this conversation in the first place, is just for people in stream to hear about like our experiences, what we saw on our side, but also get like Ace's because he shopped with us multiple times.
Yeah.
Was that all you had, Ace, before I hop into my like nightmare?
Yeah, that was pretty much all I had. And I mean,
The
yeah, see,
hunter's nightmare.
again, just you mentioned that I've shopped at the places where you guys worked, and yeah, more often than not, I'd come in, during the, when I actually had a surplus of cash, I'd come in on those Black Friday sales, and it's like, ooh, I've been waiting for that to go on sale. I've been waiting for that to go on sale. Let me get those now.
Thanks.
And of course, I remember being lucky enough to. I know it's not a Black Friday. It's not a Black Friday related anecdote, but I do remember the one time that I came into GameStop, and this was after, God, I want to say Ultra Street Fighter 4 came out, and I was able to, just because they were getting ready to toss it out at the GameStop at the mall, but they decided to just hand me like one of the folded up, reuse standees from Ultra Street Fighter 4, and I think I still have that somewhere in store.
Man, I miss those things that they just throw out like that. Like I feel like that just doesn't happen anymore.
Yep, standees,
No,
posters.
because usually the employees have their eyes on it, or
Yeah.
one of our regulars, Ace, comes in regularly and keeps telling us they want this standee when it's ready to be decommissioned.
Yeah.
Like they're pretty much spoken for right away. It's rare that it filters out, kind of
Pretty
thing. You
much.
see them at like events and stuff where people just like, oh, I got this from a GameStop and I'm reselling it. It's like cool, I guess.
But even then, just a lot of the major events, that used to happen at game stores, like big game releases or midnight launches, the events where the standees and the posters and the vinyl banners and stuff would actually go up. And
Man, that was my favorite part about setting up. I'll be honest. So it's at good of handoff as any. I worked at GameStop for about 8 years, and then I worked at a retro video game store across the street that James and I worked together at. I worked at that one for about 7.5 years. So I've got about 15-ish years of retail video game experience under my belt. So much so that when I moved back to Bellingham recently, because I was down in Seattle for about 5 years, working in the industry, as we've talked about before. I am still known as the GameStop guy. People will recognize me from 10 years ago. I was just like, hey, GameStop guy, what's going on? Like, because I was there for so long and working in so many roles. I started as, holiday hire. So my
Yeah.
very first experience was, the temporary people they bring on. So I was already working. Halo 2 midnight launch was my first night. I think we spoke about that last week. So like the holiday season for me has genuinely been ruined. Like especially Black Friday, I have nightmares about it. Whatever led up to it, I get like that anxiety because I still think, oh, I need to set up the store still. I need to do marketing. I need to put up the banners. I need to do, like you said, the standees, get the game sales ready, get the prices on them. Make sure my staff is scheduled for the day that can be there. Wait for any last minute call outs. Have some backups. Like, it is a thing, like especially after many years of GameStop TV, when they finally brought those into stores, it would just repeat in your head the same ads constantly. I can't to this day enjoy Christmas music anymore. Like whenever it comes on, my wife wants to listen to Christmas music.
Mhm.
I can't. I just, it's so burned out in me that I just don't enjoy it
That's the
anymore. And
same.
it's because of working retail video games holiday Black Friday. Like it was a thing. My nightmare story is in 2010. I was working as the assistant manager in Bellingham, and the manager at one of the stores in Burlington quit, and they had an opening and they couldn't get someone on short notice, so they offered me the temporary job. I was supposed to be there for 3 weeks while they interviewed people to come in to be manager. Um, Looking back on it, they didn't interview me at the time. I don't know why, after working as ASM for a while there, and talking about it, here's a chance to do this. You can run the store, see how it works out for you. 3 weeks tops. I was there for 3 months instead of 3 weeks. I was
Oh,
running it. And by the end of that 3 months, they did offer me the job. That's a
yo,
different
you
conversation
you were
where
supposed. It was like you were supposed to be in the Coast Guard. Next thing you know, you're getting shipped off to Iraq.
it was it was a thing. So that holiday season, because that was going to the Burlington Mall, which if anyone who's shopped there or anyone locally who's been down
Ooh.
there, it's a different experience. It's a different mall
Yeah.
than Bellingham, and it's a shadow of itself nowadays. But the
Right.
reason this stood out to me, and the reason one of the reasons Black Friday has been that behind the counter nightmare for me, was I was basically running that store by myself. They were so understaffed when I came in to take over, and it was right before the holiday season. So I ended up the night before Black Friday, or not Black Friday, but the night before Thanksgiving, and then the night I came back leading into Black Friday. I had to set up the entire store myself, all the price tags. It was a small store. If anyone remembers that Burlington one,
Mhm.
you two have been to the Bellingham. Used to be EB's, now it's a GameStop. The Burlington one was about that size, so not big, kind of a smaller one, but having to do all the marketing, all the price changes, everything yourself. I
Oh,
slept in the back room on the boxes. Like I literally had to, because no one else was going to be there to set it up, and I was solely responsible for it. And
Yeah.
I just remember having no sleep, just trying to get
damn.
that thing started Black Friday. I'm the only one working first thing in the morning because that's all they scheduled for. So the first couple hours, it was dead. I was by myself, and then help came in, and then it got slammed busy. But man, just pounding energy drinks, sleeping on boxes in the back, having to deal with all of the like nightmare fuel that is Black Friday shopping anyway.
Yeah.
But in a gaming space, like you said, with all those things, people who would come in who have no clue what they're searching for. And I'm happy to help people with that. That was one of my favorite parts of that job, was just
Mhm.
being like, what are you looking for? What can I get you? Oh, your kid's probably talking about this one. This is great. Absolutely get it. I definitely get this with it. Like you will thank me later. Like the PS2, memory cards. Like don't you
Yeah.
forget you're buying
Yeah.
this retro PS2 when we were working, like 2018, 2019, someone come in for a PS2 and was like, hey, don't forget, nostalgia is great. Buy a memory card. You need one. Like, don't do this to yourself. It may sound like I'm trying to sell you something for $8, $10 more. It's worth it. Like, there's no internal
It
memory for
pays
saving
for
your game.
itself.
Yeah. So yeah, it's sleeping in the back, man, on boxes and just everything with it. It was crazy. Definitely something I can't do, now that I'm older. I don't know how I got through it back then other than I had to. But at the end of all of that, after dealing with all that stress and running that store and improving it in the end, like they offered me the store manager job for less money than I was making as the assistant manager if they gave me 40 hours a week. Like it was like the
No.
biggest, just like,
No.
double birds, just like I'm leaving now. No, thank you.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Big surprise, getting let go later. It was just, I didn't want to move up to that store, but they took that as, oh, you're just not interested in moving up at all. It's like, no, I just don't want to get shafted on my pay.
Yeah, the ratio of work and payment for your time was not accurate.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's worked at GameStop can tell you, like, the pay that you get is fine when you're starting out, just because you're like passionate about it, but they really rely on that passion. Like you're gonna earn a little bit less because you want to be there, kind of thing. But the amount of work as you go up the scale is just so out of whack with what you're responsible for and have to do and like lift up. And Black Friday is really the entire like continuation of that. That is the reason it's so difficult for store managers to say like, oh, it's worth it to work here. It's because you're doing everything. You're responsible for everything during like the busiest time of year.
It's also common knowledge that most hires come from the holidays at GameStops, and then they keep the ones that they want. They call the week, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of how that works. And
it's more so you're given all those hours, and then afterwards you're like, okay, well, you got to fire some people if you want to keep them. You have to make some decisions. You got to at that point, like, well, these people were better or want to be here.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if and this is actually a good I guess soapbox to jump on. If any of you out there in chat or anybody out there watching have considered working at a game store like GameStop or any other game related places, just think about the amount of other people that want that job. And I think these corporations, they really know about that. And they go, well, if you don't want it, this guy right outside the door is going to take your job. So that's why they get they make sure they have these opportunities to kind of like say, hey, we're not going to pay you as much, but if you want to leave, that's fine. There's a guy, I have 12 applications ready to rock and roll because they think the game store job is the dream job. And a little insider information, you better love organizing. You better love accuracy and is that not inventory management. There's a lot of that, because shrink at a game store is probably, it's like the most common thing that you'll combat, right? So it's not just, we don't sit there and play games all day. We talk about the things that we love.
In fact, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
The time we're playing game is when we're testing a console. And that's when someone walks up. It's the same thing. It's just like, oh, this price tag didn't scan. That must mean it's free.
Yeah. They walk up and they say, it must be awesome. You guys just play games all day. I'm like, no, I'm actually just testing a trade-in.
Grizzled, like eyes black, like, no, man.
Yeah, I'm dying inside. Help.
Yeah, right.
Call for help. So
it really is one of those things. That was always my first conversation whenever I brought on someone new when I hired them. It's just like, just so you know, like this is just a retail job. It is just retail.
Yeah.
Yes, it's about video games. Yes, you'd be more excited to talk about it, but it is just retail sales.
Correct.
It is just that.
Yeah, and a lot of it at the lower end of it, like the beginning position, the entry level positions, is completely more just organization. Sobre de Ketchup, is your podcast better than Talk Tua? I'm not sure. I've never watched Talk Tua. So, but if you like video games and video game experiences, this is the place where you want to be. So. Right now we're talking about Black Friday nightmare stories and working, for video game stores. So,
and to catch up on one quick thing that I saw in the chat, stick figure. Have you heard the metal versions of Christmas music? Gary Hoey, The Grinch. Need I say anything further?
We'll have to pull that up later.
Ace loves talking in cryptic messages.
Yes, he does. Just mic dropping on us.
Yeah, right.
I am the consummate professional when it comes to thank me later.
But yeah, I mean that's
out. Thank me later.
I think that's the takeaway that I want y'all to have from this story segment, is that if you've ever thought about how people felt behind that counter as you go into these game stores that you love, that's probably what's going behind their minds, is that, man, I'm stressed out. This company's not paying me enough. Like, you know, I don't have enough hours. I have to do A, B, C, D with X amount of time, right? These guys are under pressure all the time. And don't forget, and I think someone said it in chat, would you like to pre-order FIFA 2025?
God, dude, having the push pre-orders and Game
Yep.
Informer like pro subscriptions was the moment I realized it wasn't going to be fun anymore is when they were just like, you have to hit this percentage. You don't hit this percentage, you're losing hours, and it's like, great.
Isn't it crazy that like your store can be the highest in volume, but then if you don't have enough pre-orders / Game Informer subs, they still go, yeah, we gotta catch your hours. That's so trash. Think about that for a second.
No.
It sounds like a lot of the reason why I stopped working at T-Mobile. Because in training, they're like, oh, it's not sales, it's mostly customer service. You'll be fine. And then the moment you hit the floor, they're just, you know,
quota.
Yeah, there's so many things that I ended up hating about that job in the end. But I mean, there's very formative in my life, and there's plenty of happy times. Like we talk about all the midnight launches. I love the midnight launches. It made it worth the Black Fridays when you can have the midnight launches.
When the times are good, they're very good. But when they're bad, they're really bad. That's kind of like, I guess, my takeaway from working at a game store. So
yep, feast and famine, and there's very little in between.
There you go. Well, I mean, with that said, shall we move towards the articles, guys?
Let's do it.
All right.
We still got plenty to talk about.
Yes, there is a fun-packed adventure today. All right, so the first article I want to share with y'all is going to be about physical games. So let's see if I can pull this up for you guys. All right. So Xbox fans plead with Microsoft, don't forget about us physical gamers. And I wanted to do this for the article. Awesome. All right. And this article comes from the website called Pure Xbox. And I actually had 2 links for this. This one, the other one was, let me pull up this one. This is the one I actually read. Open that, share with that one instead here. Xbox fans, plead. Okay. So this one is Gamer Social Club, right? And this article is by Dan Jackson from the Gamer Social Club, and it's pretty much an editorial about his feelings on the recent announcement of Avowed. Right? I guess familiar with Avowed?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm very familiar with the steelbook it's getting.
Yes. So, but here's the question. What's inside that steelbook?
A code, my guy. A code.
There you go.
No, not again.
There you go.
Ugh.
So that's kind of like what these 2 articles were about, and as I was reading them. And bless this man for having an awesome Xbox collection. I'm pretty sure it's alphabetized. From what I'm
seeing.
Has
to be. That means they've worked at in retail.
Yeah, it's part. It never leaves you. It's all there. But yes, so the release of Avowed was a sign for physical collectors, just like Dan over here. He was concerned about the future of Xbox or Xbox games that were to be released, just because, like, hey, I'm a physical collector. I want to support you guys. You're giving me a steelbook to put on the shelf, but no disc. That's crazy, right? And this is not the first time a company's done this. There's been collector's editions that have been released where you get a steelbook and a code, not a game. I think God of War did it. I think Horizon Zero or Forbidden West did it, right?
No,
and
Forbidden West came with the game.
Oh well, the collectors or the crazy like
I bought the limited. I bought the limited one that came with the outside box and the steel book. That one came with the disc. Like
that one did.
One not having it is atrocious.
That's the one. That's the one. And here's the thing: it's like, what's wrong with just putting the disc in there if you're already paying triple the amount of the actual game itself, right? So it's
you
kind
still
of
get the game, but it's a download.
That's irrelevant. We're talking about physical here, so
which still just takes me. All this does is just remind me of the one time in the, I guess, console war between Sony and Microsoft, where Microsoft got their asses handed to them because of that one short ad with fucking Shuhei Yoshida. Here is how you share a game with your friend on PlayStation. Step 1, buy the game. Step 2, thanks. Done.
And that is what ruined that for Xbox for that generation, honestly. It was a short, simple, straightforward ad that really addressed a lot of the issues with the player base. And I feel like maybe it's gotten to a point where it's past that now, or they've moved on away from that, and now they're going, well, we're just going to do it our way because of Game Pass, right? And don't get me wrong, I think the idea of Game Pass is awesome. It's very pro-consumer, right? But at the same time, for those that want to support physical copies of a game to show off their collection, just like Dan over here, right? He's got to open that case and then not have anything inside it. So that's rough. Like, what's he need to do? Check out this code. It's is there even a way to get the game outside of a code? I don't think so, right? There's not even getting an option for that. At least with what Nick said, with the Horizon Forbidden West, you're able to get the physical in that limited edition, even though you weren't able to get it in the collector massive edition, right? So you have options, at least. You can get a physical copy of it. But in this case, there's just no disc in any form of the game's purchase. So it's leaving a lot of these guys frustrated, and a lot of them kind of like disenfranchised because guys,
what if Avowed has the same lifespan, the same life cycle as, say, Concord?
Well, Microsoft's going to be
or anything close to it. I mean, let's be honest here.
It definitely won't. Those are very, very different games.
Well, I mean, I think like the he's being more rhetorical about it, like
right.
Once it hits that point where if it hits a point where Avowed gets delisted,
and that's how I felt about, for example, the two games that really bothered me in the PS3 era that got delisted was Mutants TMNT Reshelled got delisted. And that's like my genre, and I love Ninja Turtles, right? I'm not able to play that game anymore or buy it, right? So I missed my chance. And also, the other one was X-Men Arcade. I was like, they released that on PSN, and now I can't buy that game ever again, right? So,
and let's not forget about the Activision titles on the PS3. I mean the Transformers Cybertron games, Deadpool, the platinum license ones like Transformers Devastation, Legend of Korra, and Mutants in Manhattan.
But at least those games had a physical copy that you had the opportunity to buy, right? Even though they were delisted. I think what I'm getting at here is you don't even have the chance to get this physical whatsoever, right? Giving the opportunity is always good, right? But because you always have that option, and I know like maybe the licensing expires and stuff like that, so you can't reprint the game again, like Deadpool, right?
Right.
So like I understand that, but at least you're given the opportunity to own a physical copy of it. So and I think Avowed is going to stand on its legs. I think people are going to give it a chance. People are already calling it like, oh man, I've been wanting a game like this in Skyrim, right? Awesome. And I want games to succeed, right? But at the same time, I think I'm more focusing not at the quality of the game, but for collectors to get their chance to add it to their library, especially if it's a Xbox only title. Is it confirmed it's an Xbox only title? I'm assuming PC also.
It's Steam as well.
Okay. Well, so it's purely digital, right? So, and also it's like, and let me ask you this, Nick, because you're a steelbook collector, right? Do you think it's a slap in the face to even have a steelbook for this kind of thing, or a case for this kind of thing, even though it's digital only? Why not something else?
I'm a bad person to ask about that, just for the fact that I have multiple steelbooks that I've collected that don't have the games inside. I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, but did those games have physical releases though?
I didn't buy them with the physical game inside.
No, but like,
steelbook.
Are they available in physical disc?
Some of them are, not all of them. Like a good one is like Alan Wake 2. That doesn't have a physical release. That was Remedy's digital only title. So, like I said, I'm just a bad person to ask because I love steelbooks so much, and
Yeah.
it's a result of working in retail. I want this steelbook. It's so cool looking. I love when they release this artwork for it. It not having a game inside kind of sucks, but I'm not as hardcore about that as you are.
Yeah. A stick figure drawing said, I've collected all the WoW boxes and hung them on the wall. Hey, hopefully you were here that episode I showed you my collector's edition came out. But no, they no longer even have boxes unless you buy the special deluxe editions, which has different art. That's been a bummer about those releases. See, and that's another thing, right? And I think this is why Ed here is kind of frustrated, is because yeah, maybe I have Gears 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is going to be purely digital. Like, I want to be able to display that on my wall, right? And I think that's what the point of the Steelbook is for Avowed, is to have that, hey, I have this in my collection, right? Not necessarily the disc, because it's already in my Xbox, right? But at least I can show you that I own it on my wall. And I think it's better than nothing, for sure. But I think it's just a step backwards in the gaming world. But I know in their eyes it's a step forward because it's less material for the world and less trash and less resources that use them.
Did you also? I don't know if this article talks about it, but did you hear that Avow can actually be bought on BattleNet with Warcraft Gold?
I'm sorry, what?
Yep, you can buy Avowed on BattleNet using World of Warcraft Gold.
No, I think this one just focuses on their interactions with other, you know. Like I said, I didn't go too much into the game itself, just more the idea that physical copies, because I stress on physical a lot in our show. So
Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm not saying this is the case for every single one, and I know this article. I read a little bit into it. I know that it mentions down below the concessions given to it's not always viable financially to go to
Mhm.
printing with
Yep,
discs. Even with some of these ones that still have like physical things given out, the cost of a disc printing and the entire process of that versus the cost of like hundreds of steel books because they're so easy to crank out, like it's different. They're just different things, so I can understand the idea behind that. There is something to be said when it sells enough. There's a couple games, I can't remember off the top of my head the title, where it was so popular they came out with a physical release because they could then afford to go to printing. So sometimes it's in the cards. Maybe Avowed could do that. I think there was some discussion like um, if Avowed does so well and Xbox decides to port it to PlayStation, those two consoles and their networks may not be able to talk. You might see a physical version for PlayStation of Avowed, like who knows, kind of thing.
it reminds me of that time where, was it Halo 5 came out on Xbox One. If you bought the collectors, the one with the Master Chief helmet, right? Um,
Five,
was it
five was
five?
the five. No, five was the Chief and Lock like archway thing. The helmet was Halo 3.
Okay, 5. You had the code also, but then you were like, show us a proof of purchase and we'll mail you the disc. And I was like, why not? Why not just put that in the collector's edition since you had the disc anyway?
Right.
It was very crazy. And I remember like our coworker, she was like, yeah, I want the disc. So she did all the steps, and I bless her heart. I remember because she's a super fan.
It's an interesting conversation to have because there's some people like I've certainly done this with a few games. I bought the collector's edition with the steelbook, not like the big collector's edition, but the ones that would just come with it. Usually it's like $20 more, something like that, for a series I like. I eventually will just trade in the disc. I want to keep the steelbook. I'm done playing the
Mm-hmm.
game. I'm never going to go
Yeah,
back to it. So again, maybe not the right person to ask about like game preservation when it comes to those kind of things because once
sure.
I play a game, if it's something like this, I'm done. I'm not going to go back to it, but I'm
Yeah,
keeping the cool physical thing. So it's a weird middle ground. It's kind of like the flip side of that being Baldur's Gate 3, which I just went back to start playing again. That was only available digital. I love that game. I put so much time into it. And now I'm worried about like, years from now, am I going to be able to go back to this? Because there's so much depth there. What if anything happened to where I can't access it? If I can't
yeah.
access their
Well,
servers or my cloud sync.
luckily for you, they do have physical now, so which is
They
great.
do now, and
Yeah,
that's one where it
yeah,
did so well.
yeah,
They went from like negative so much money to like triple positive in 1 year. Then they released a physical version. That's a good example of something like that. But I mean, that's a very unique. process and a unique like dev cycle that they had.
I think, like, clearly there's different levels of collectors that we have in this community, right? And what takes priority and what we want to collect is all different. I think Blue in there, his battle is always internet connection where he lives. That's why he likes physical, right? I like physical because I like more the idea of like have something in my hand that I spend my money on, right there, and I have control over it whether I want to play it or not. Not being locked away on somebody's server, right? That's the
Right.
issue. So that's my issue with that. But I also agree with you that historically there has been games that were out digitally first, then they do so well they print them, right? And I think that's also like to me that's fair because I know things cost money, and if it's not worth it, they're not going to do it. That's just how business works, right? And I'm being realistic about that, and I think that's like if this was like, hey, well, let's just give you a case, but you're technically buying the game digitally. We kind of have to look at this from the perspective of we're helping you out here, right? Not that we're taking anything away from you, So that's kind of how I see this situation with Avowed. But hopefully, like for example, Black Myth Wukong came out digitally first, sold so well they're printing it physically, right? So I agree with that concept because it was a risk for them to release that game because they don't know if it's going to do well. It's a Chinese studio, right? So I understand for sure. But for those that are loyalists, and I think like this guy Ed here or Dan, he's I mean his collection's great, right? It's purely Xbox games. That green like the top bar here, very clean on there. Right, so I think for him, it's gonna hit him a little bit harder than some other people, just because he's pretty diehard about his collection. So
yeah, it's tough. It's a reflection of where the industry is, whether we like it or not. It's another one of those things like we can complain as much as we do about microtransactions, but they're continuing to be bought.
Yeah, exactly.
A reason why they continue to do this. It's like you keep hitting yourself in the face. You seem to like it.
Yeah.
Why would I stop you from doing that kind of thing? I mean, the whole idea behind like not releasing these discs in the case is to cut down on manufactured distribution, and the people that want a physical case or physical goodies can buy the collection with it. With digital distribution, the focus being like so much on that nowadays and improving like the sales methods of that, being able to cut those costs and retain their talent is kind of like a necessary evil in some cases for these teams. And whether we like it or not, I'm not defending that, just saying that it's kind of a consideration that maybe goes out the window when people are like, oh, but I don't have my physical disc.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. Like it's a business move for sure, and it's gotta make sense. I'd rather have them continue making games and not have a disc, right, than to print out the disc. The game fails and they have to close down the studio. So that's
I mean, we were just talking about it, but I have my physical case, the glow in the dark Anthem steelbook. I don't have the disc inside. I got rid of the game.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. We move on to the. Do you have anything else just before I move on to the next one? I know you got a lot to say about this one.
Not too much, honestly. I mean, again, it's just it all really comes down to just the simple fact that it comes down to the whole all digital future versus physical game preservation, and I mean, personally I still cannot get over the simple fact that probably one of the greatest lies ever told in gaming was that going digital was going to save people money.
I remember that.
The savings were going to be passed down to the consumer.
I remember that. Can someone clip that? I remember somebody saying that on the internet, and it was probably like Microsoft or something,
Probably.
Or it could be Sony, to be honest with you. But I do remember hearing that, like, oh, will the games be cheaper since they won't have physical, but they ended up being the same price. So,
well, that's coinciding with the like exponential increase in cost to develop a game.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe like their thought was that, but then games became what they did, and prices and costs just did this on a graph.
And I want to be honest with you guys in chat. Like I just said how much Mega Man X costs now from what it was back then. You're getting a deal on games right now for $70. That game was $80 in 1995. Inflation, it is now, like I said, $170 for Mega Man X 3, I think, yeah, for the Super Nintendo. So still getting a game that's $100 less, you know, and you get like more of a game now than you did before. I know it's not a cartridge, but Jesus, it's like, man, we still have it good in my opinion. So I'm trying to be fair here. But yeah, and Nick, I know you have something to do, so awesome, man. We'll just, if you need to jump back on, let me know, and I'll put you back into the room. So
yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. I'm sorry I had to cut class early today, but I got a lot to take care of. I really appreciate the chat tonight. Thank you, chat, for chiming in. Blue, Andre, Stick, everyone, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much.
all right, later, man.
Catch you next time, man.
All right, chat. So the next article I got popping up here is more of my man on the street speed, right? And we got a thing coming straight from Daddy Harada himself. All right. And that is a huge ad. What the heck? He says Harada is not ruling out a return to the Tekken Tag Tournament series. So this is the quick little article. It was talking about an interview with Harada saying, hey, you know, historically you've done Tekken, and then Tekken you did tag, you know, for a little bit, then you moved on to the next title, right? I honestly think it's still too early to talk about tag since the season of Tekken is still happening right now, right? But, you know, people are already wondering, hey, you're going to bring Tekken Tag back. But historically speaking, from the numbers, the tag series don't sell as well as the mainline series, right?
Well, historically, they don't sell as well as the mainline series. And on top of that, there's just the matter of spacing. Because the first Tekken Tag game, that launch title on the PS2, the first Tekken Tag game covered Tekken 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And introduced Unknown as, that new boss character, right?
Yep.
Tag Tournament 2 picked up 4, 5, and 6. Then you got Tag 2, which, as far as I'm concerned, is still the best Tekken has been since 5. But
looks pretty good.
But yeah, Tag 2 was the 4, 5, and 6. It's like KOF, how KOF has a dream match between every major story arc, right? Same thing with Tekken Tag. So realistically, if past is precedent, then Tekken Tag Tournament 3 would basically have to come out after Tekken 9 has run its course.
There you go. So I was thinking that exact same thing, because like you said, there's a pattern to these, right? And to talk about tag right now is like kind of silly because 8 it's still happening, and then as we bracket it off, like, yeah, you said 9 has to happen next, then another tag game has to then we'll think about another tag game to be
right.
released,
And
right?
Dio's got a good point. It could be that they might finally get around to the Tekken portion, the Bandai Namco side of the Tekken and Street Fighter crossover for Tag 3.
I'll be real with you though, and this is from my projections. I feel the Tekken and Street Fighter story is not going to happen anymore. So we should just drop that, because a couple things that I've noticed, after Akuma, right? They released that like vampire girl to emulate Akuma and Geese, right? They were working on projectiles, right? And they even added Noctis in there, right? And Noctis has now been delegated to Victor. He's our Noctis of this game, right? We don't really have a a Street Fighter-ish character just yet, but I feel like we may be getting that in the season pass, right? In some way or form.
Or maybe they could.
I don't think it will be a Street Fighter.
Like, or
I think
maybe SNK might find a way to cram Terry into Tekken. I mean, he's everywhere else.
Yeah, I'm getting to that, and that's definitely one of the dream matches, right? I think right now Tekken is in bed with Sega. I think that's gonna happen. Because I saw like the costumes for the Virtua Fighter characters, right, and the Tekken characters in Sega, right. So right now I think they're kind of.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they're kind of like, that's what we're gonna do in this section. I mean, I would love it if Tekken got Tifa from Final Fantasy, right? But realistically, I think there's more opportunity for them to work with Sega than Square right now because of like the VF costumes that were happening and so on, right?
So,
and they even had the Tekken stuff happening in Virtua Fighter. So
honestly, as far as a crossover character, you know, there might be like one or two characters from Virtua Fighter that could show up in Tekken, like say, you know, Jean Kujo or perhaps Jackie and Sarah Bryant.
Yeah.
Or it is very possible that you may wind up seeing the likes of Kiryu hit Tekken.
Yep, that's possible too. And you know, and they talked about that, you know, because people have brought the idea, especially with Kiryu having different combat styles, right? And the one character archetype I think that would benefit Tekken would be like a counter character, which would be Akira Yuki, right? So because there's no counter character yet, really, except for like Asuka, maybe, right? She's a counter-ish character.
Yeah,
right?
Asuka, June. God, I want to say Asuka, June, and Azucena.
Yeah, and I would see like, and they're like more faster paced, and I feel like Akira is more methodical and slower when there's attacks. So that'd be a good thing to, you know, and I feel like this is a whole different podcast, you know, we're talking about this because we can really stem into that. But go ahead.
One thing really quickly before we actually move forward with this though, remember how we were talking about, you know, Victor is our Noctis and Eliza is, you know, the projectile character that was developed, you know, after, you know, Geese and Akuma.
Yep.
Remember, Negan was one of the guest characters in 7.
Mm-hmm.
A Sega character that uses a bat as part of his mark fighting styles.
There you go.
Ichiban.
Yeah. And you know, we just had that they just had that release of Yakuza Pirate in Hawaii or whatever it is, right? So the possibilities are there and the relationships there clearly, right? And so I think, but like I said, the reason why my guess is Sega, because Capcom is clearly working with SNK with, you know, City of the Wolves and the DLC characters in SF6, right? Yeah. So and maybe just maybe what they're all three of them will work together and we'll see a character with all three characters from their franchises in one game, right? So that'd be crazy. I would love to see a Tekken character in SF6. You know what I'm saying? Like to see Jin in there or Kazuya. Mm-hmm. That'd be cool. That'd be sweet. You know, but we'll see, right? But as for right now, I think sorry, I forgot to quote the source. This is from Jonas Maki from Game Reactor. Jonas, it's coming. It's just not till after Tekken 9. And that's all. It's a matter of when, not a matter of if, honestly, right? So and that kind of like brings us to our next topic, actually, because it's about, you know, time. So let's show here. Let's see here. This one is about Yasuki Oda from GamesIndustry.biz.
Speaking of SNK.
Yep. And someone is from, do I have an author here? Oh, Jason wrote, he was asked by Jason here, why it's taken over a quarter of a century to make a new Fatal Fury game, you know? And honestly, I mean, before I jump onto it, what do you think, Ace? And also chat, jump in and give us your takes. Why do you think it took long?
Well, simply put, Mark of the Wolves came out shortly before SNK's first bankruptcy. So it's just that, that really tumultuous time in SNK's history from, 2000, honestly, I would say 2000 all the way up to 2014. You know, when SNK was, partnered with Eolith, when they were, SNK Playmore, and when they were partnered with Sammy, trying to keep their feet under them for hell between with SNK properties, between Mark of the Wolves and hell, let's face it, between Mark of the Wolves and KOF 13. That whole span of time, it was just
they were like couch surfing pretty much.
Yeah, they were basically couch surfing. But they needed to really make sure that they could get their feet under them before putting, one of their long-standing trademark franchises into the ring.
Yeah.
So it's really just a matter of timing. Like what Valve was, like the reasoning behind, why Valve hadn't really put up Half-Life 3 at this point.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of like investors willing to kind of go in on their projects, right? Because, Andre says here in chat, KOF 13 was sort of that redemption. And I agree with that because it was a very good game, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it had its shortcomings because of the internet, the net connection of the game was not great. But man, was it a beautiful game. And with that beauty came with a price, though. I think I read somewhere on the development cycle of this, it was like each character took like 8 months or something. 8 months on one character, but look how pretty the game is. Look how well the game looks, and it played really well. And it was like that. It was peak 2D fighting game. You know what I'm saying? Like it had a 3D skeleton, believe it or not.
Yeah,
but it was 2D. It was like Strive before it did its thing, honestly, or Exard, sorry, before it did its thing. So I think that really got the eyes of a lot of like, these guys are talented, and we gotta give them some money. And actually reading this article, this says here, given the huge gap between the two releases, there had to be some challenges along the way. Oda cites that their team, SNK Studio, has always been composed of the original Fatal Fury team. They also reached out to former developers who was now working freelance to help with the project, effectively bringing the band back together. So they were like, "Hey guys, it's time," and they're like, "All right, let's do this."
Yep, it was Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, and the talent came back, and we got Sam Show, and Sam Show was a big hit. And here's the thing, right? It played just like the original, but you got an updated version of it, right? And I think that's what made it so good, is because like we got nostalgic, we got nostalgia, we got the modern day look and take on it, right? We got a little bit of both worlds. The balance was there. It was good. The only issue, online.
Yep.
Same thing again. Man.
And same with, honestly, Andre, I agree with you wholeheartedly. KOF 14 is an underrated. That is one of the more underrated gems in the series.
Played good. I could agree with that. It's like the curse of Marvel Infinite, right? The game felt good. It played good. It just looked bad.
The game, like, maybe not. It wasn't as polished in the. The graphical fidelity wasn't as polished as, say, Sam's Show or even KOF 15, but 14 had soul. Like 14 had some serious firepower under the hood, and that was part of the reason why we got Samurai Showdown.
Yeah, 14 was fighting for its life, and you can tell they were putting like, we got to do this. This is our Final Fantasy. We got to make it happen. And they did. And I'm so glad SNK came back stronger than ever.
Same. The moment I saw that KOF 14 had even been announced, I was just like,
miracle.
Excuse me?
Yeah. I just love the fact that in order for fighting games to be good online, it took a goddamn pandemic for them to realize how important online net play was for fighting games. It took the whole world shutting down for the industry to say, God, delay-based netcode is hot trash. And it took the obsession of multiple creators, Maximilian, dude, shout out to Max, and all the people that, play Tekken and these tournaments are like, guys, this netcode can't work anymore.
It's like, look, here's this little thing we like to call parsec. Check it out.
Right. And then I remember that was the parsec boom at the time, right?
Yep.
And
parsec
it's just
fight cape.
And it's a thing, though. It's like you shouldn't have to do that. It should be built into the thing that they made, part of the product, right? But thank you for the industry to getting together, getting on that round table. There was a few of those that happened during the pandemic. The fighting game community got together and we did it. It's like they almost like share the spirit bomb energy, and they're like, let's make the best netcode ever, and they all teamed up with each other. So I think that's fantastic. And I'm looking forward to City of the Wolves, especially since they're including Ken and Chun-Li. I can't wait for them to see what their character models look like. I'm so stoked.
And the entire first season is going to be baked into the purchase.
It's so cool. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the beauties of I noticed with SNK is that they usually include the first season and with like their deluxe editions too. I think this one is just included. Mm-hmm. So, but I remember picking up Sam's show and I ordered the deluxe, and the deluxe had the first season included in there or something like that. I just know the first season was included, which is great.
Yeah,
so it's awesome. Oh man, that's great. All right, that's about it for the articles. A little weak on the articles this week, but we got still lots of stuff for you guys. If you guys need to take a quick stretch break, that's awesome. Let me boot up. What's the deal? And we can get some sales going for you guys as always. So we're gonna take like 20 seconds, go and take that break while we load it up. I guarantee you there's a point to those sounds that I'm making for you guys later on. I guarantee there's a reason for that. So
yeah, well, that's pulling up just going back and taking a look at some of the stuff from the chat that we didn't quite get around to addressing during our conversations here. Let's see, I'm also pulling up the Twitch chat because, surprise, surprise, not only is this live on youtube.com/GQAzndood and twitch.tv/GQAzndood, but it is also simultaneously being broadcast on both of my streaming channels, both YouTube and twitch.tv/BlazeNaceNelson. So we are casting a wide net here, making sure that this class goes out to all of our students on campus and remote.
I told you every time we jump on, we're going to make this stream a little bit better every time. And we're just doing that for you. And we are loving every minute of it. We love you guys hanging out with us. We're just trying to make this as cool and as much entertaining as possible. So
yes, sir.
There's nothing more entertaining than saving money. And I don't know why this is on page 10. So that kind of sucks. So let me go back here. All right. So this is the segment called What's the Deal? And if it's your first time here, good to have you. We're about to save you some money. In this segment, we're going to save you some cash by getting physical items that are on sale, letting you know what products are on sale from now and a few days before. So can't tell the future, but we can tell you what you're saving now and a few days before. Okay. So these are post Black Friday sales. Dudley, can you hit the sound? Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, so the first sale we got today is the 8-bit do on the Super Nintendo with the SN30 Pro USB wired controller, retro classic gamepad. So if you like playing your retro games on your PC, this is the best controller to get that same experience that you had on your Super Nintendo. This also works on the Switch, PC Windows, your Raspberry Pi. It's also available $19.79 on Amazon here. So let me see if I can lower the jams here for you. Maybe 1 sec. It's too bumpy, man. There you go. Is that better?
There we go. Yeah, a little bit more equalized.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
pretty sure it would have been tough to hear you over the jam instead of listening.
Well, we don't want that.
In conjunction.
No, we don't want them to be too hyped now. So yeah, right. If you're looking for that nice PC controller with a nice retro feel, 8-bit do or 8-bit do has always been and had a great relationship with people that use their controllers. Next up on the list, we're talking about accessibility, and this game wasn't available for purchase for the longest time because Ubisoft locked it behind their vault. So now you can get a physical copy of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, on your PS4 for $28.56 via VGP. But if you just want to buy it digitally and to buy it, keep it in your collection digitally, it's such a good deal. I wanted to share it with you guys for $4.94 via PSN, Xbox, eShop, Steam, and I think also available on the PS Plus Extra on PSN.
Funny enough, also to kind of tie this back into retro collecting and game preservation. I was loading a few things up on my PS3, and one of the things I remembered that I actually had purchased from the PlayStation Store was Pilgrim vs. the World.
I mean, I like beat 'em ups and I like pixel art, right? So one of the things I picked up that has these two things for about $19, and I think I had this on the show, but if not, I have it now. I have it right in front of me. I picked up a copy of
Fight and Rage?
Karate Kid Street Brawl. And this is, like I said, pixel art and beat 'em up combined, and it also tells the stories of all the Karate Kids. 1, 2, 3, I think, and more.
Oh, nice.
$20. It's a good deal. So, physical copy, it's yours to keep forever. Plug it in, install it whenever you want. So, another game I recommend that I actually have the collector's edition right over there on that wall is the Unicorn Overlord for $29.99 via Amazon on Xbox One and the Switch. It is also Prime legible, so you can get it 2 days really quick. It's also available on PS5 and Switch on sale at Best Buy and also GameStop as well. And it's also it's a little bit more via eShop, which is weird because this game should be cheaper digitally. But I wanted to make sure you guys are aware that doesn't matter. So buy it physical, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if you've ever heard of the game called Demon's Crush back on your Sega Genesis and TurboGrafx 16, then you would know that game is about a pinball game that has devil demon aesthetic behind it. And these guys, I believe Flare, they remade their own called Demon's Tilt, which is an homage to Demon Crush. So if you like pinball, pixel art, and demons and monsters with a demon monster aesthetic, pick up Demon's Tilt for $21 on your Switch. I actually have this digitally because they didn't have a physical copy at the time. Then it sold so well, they printed a physical copy. Guess who's buying Demon's Tilt on the Switch for physical? This guy right here. Okay. Now, this is a little bit different because it's not actually a game. It's called the Game Console 2.0 book. This is a book full of great images about different consoles in each generation. Think about it as a physical Pictionary encyclopedia for all the consoles that were ever released in the history of video games. It's super cool to have on your shelf, and it's just super interesting to what the inside of a TurboGrafx looks like. They'll really have it in there for you, all the way down to the first Atari and to the latest Xbox. So it's only $20. It's a hardcover. It's a good coffee table book for you nerds out there.
That's rad.
Okay. Now, this is a great deal because you get the Ultimate Edition. When Ultimate Editions come with all the DLC of the game, it is now Spider-Man Miles Morales is only $30 via PS5 via Amazon or Walmart. So if you like Spider-Man, you didn't pick it out day one, Ultimate Edition now is only $30, and that's with every DLC included. Pretty great. Okay. Now, this game had a sneak stealth release. Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven is a remake of the original Romancing Saga games back in the Super Nintendo era. And they now re-release it on the PS5. And it's not a huge sale, but if you've been wanting to play it, don't pay full price. Get it on sale for $42.31. Kind of a random price, but hey, it's not $70.
It's not 70 and it's still physical.
Correct. Now, another book that I highly recommend because I love video game art books, the Sea of Stars concept art of Bryce Coe. He is the main artist for the Sea of Stars, and it's a hardcover book. Lots of great artwork that reminds me of Chrono Trigger. Okay. Only $25 right now at Target or Amazon. If you love the game, if you love old pixel art and what how the art influences and translates into the game, this is a book that you need to have to share with your friends or just have on your shelf because it's beautiful. Look at the cover.
Yeah.
Okay. Last but not least, you saw it before the show started, before the segment started, Sonic the Hedgehog Encyclopedia. I love that. $25 now on Amazon and also Target. It just shows you the history of Sonic, 30 years of Sonic the Hedgehog. If you're a Sonic fan, you got to have this on your wall, and you can get it right now for less than a AA title release. So that is what's the deal for this week, guys. Appreciate it as always. And if you want to learn more about these titles too, check out our affiliate link down here. I'll share that with you guys here. Any of those things that you buy on Amazon, if you use this link to make that purchase, the purchase will go directly to the stream and contribute to our stream to help improve the stream. As you can see, we're trying to improve it. More jams, more sound effects, more graphics, right? Eventually we'll have a new background and everything. So we appreciate you guys as always. All right. Now I think we got J&G hyped up to play some Third Strike in the chat. It looks like. I don't blame you, man. That thing is hot fire.
Right.
So, but yeah. All right. So another segment that I want to cover that, I think that is relevant to the community always is, let me ask you guys right now, what are you guys playing? What are you playing, Ace? Because I know that right now I'm playing Middle-earth Shadow of War. And I know I'm like, years and years late. When did this game come out? Like 2020 or something? Like,
hey, Middle-earth is still dope as hell, though. I mean, it is dope enough that, people are revisiting it. I've seen a good couple of streamers that I follow go back and, sit down and start playing it again.
Yeah, so I managed to pick up the definitive edition, which is pretty much the 100% version of the game. Has all the DLC included, and the DLC is a code, right? So it's not on the disc. That's a con, but at least it has everything there. It's there, right? I don't think games will have the DLC on the disc ever. It's just like we've been hoping for so long, and it's never happened. It's happened sometimes, but not very often. And I've kind of like, got my conclusion that's not going to be a thing. So we're just going to always get a code, right? But I'm not here to complain about that. We did that earlier. Chad, have you guys played Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and now Shadow of War? This is just a bigger scope version of Shadow of Mordor, right? Ace, have you played this game?
Oh, God, yes. I still have a copy. Well, I still have a copy of Shadow of War on the PlayStation, and I have Shadow of Mordor on Steam.
Okay. Yeah, so I did play Shadow of Mordor like the year it came out. Loved it. Of course, immediately Assassin's Creed clone, right? It's like when you have Armageddon, you have Deep Impact. You have Assassin's Creed, you have Shadow of Mordor, right? So that's kind of how I felt when this game came out. Or like, it's Assassin's Creed with a Lord of the Rings skin over it, right? Kind of like that. And believe it or not, it's more than that. So if you guys know, and if you played Shadow of Mordor, it has this thing called the Nemesis system. Now, we are now in the age of AI, right? And AI is all over the place. Hell, I write the descriptions of our streams with AI. Our scripts are AI, right? And it does a pretty decent job the more you use it, to be honest with you. It's never going to replace, my impromptu conversations with everybody, right? But to have like a formatting of the show and have like a little bit of intro and fun with the intro, I use AI for that. I leverage AI for that. Now, what does this have to do with Shadow of War? Well, like I said, I've played Shadow of Mordor. I beat it, right? Played it on normal, had a good time. So I booted up Shadow of War. And I go, you know what? I have experience playing Batman Arkham Asylum. I have experience playing Assassin's Creed. I want to put this on Nemesis difficulty. And guess what? Nemesis difficulty is not even the hardest. There's normal, there's Nemesis, and then the hardest is Gravewalker, right? I put it on Nemesis, right? Because I know that there's a Nemesis system and everything. So I played this on Sunday, and I didn't stream it. And thank Odin, I did not stream this game. I spent the first hour getting my ass handed to myself by orcs. So these orcs were leveling up using my ass for XP. So it was rough. I'm not kidding you. I've never felt so what do you call this? Demoralized playing a video game before, because not only do you die, right? You come back to life and the guy that kills you gets a promotion for killing you. Right. And man, that happened for the first hour. And I was like, bro, I'm just getting handed by these orcs. And it does not feel good. I almost want to start over the game again.
And the worst part about it isn't just that they're leveling up using you, but you show up and they're like, hold up. Didn't I kill you earlier?
The level of trash talk that these orcs have because of the AI, they know they killed you. They know how they killed you. They're wondering how you came back, and they're going, "Oh, you were an easy kill. I'll do it again." And matter of fact, when you combat the orcs, if you keep doing the same move, they adapt, and the game tells you adapted. You can't spam the same moves over again, so you have to figure out different ways to kill them. And yes, man filth is literally what they called me for the first hour. And I was like, man, this game sucks. And I was, like I said, I've never been so demoralized playing a video game before, because the game was literally shit talking me. And the fact that they were leveling up off my corpse was hilarious and demoralizing at the same time. So, but here's the thing. I found out the secret. So what I noticed is that I was straight going for the orcs as soon as the game started. I wasn't locked behind quest missions. So I started doing those first. Then I started going, oh yeah, that's right. I remember you at level 5. You killed me. You're level 12 now. Right? And then, so I went back and hunted him down, because you have the option to say, hey, this guy killed you. You can do a vengeance mission. Right? And if you kill that orc that kills you, the rate of drops that come out of that orc is increased by like double, right? Which is pretty great. Now, love the Nemesis system. Matter of fact, if they have this thing like locked behind Monolith Studios technology, it needs to be shown to the world and used in a lot of video games.
Let me tell you this right now.
Yeah.
Like, I was literally going to say this. The Nemesis system in the Middle-earth games is so good.
It's very good.
Actually has inspired other developers. James.
Very good.
GQ. Have you sat down to play Warframe recently?
I've not.
You might want to give that a go.
Yeah? It has its own Nemesis system?
Yes, it does. It has Nemesis setups for 2 of the 3 main enemy factions in the game, both the Corpus and the Grineer, but also coming up with the Warframe 1999 update, there's going to be a 3rd enemy faction that will have its own set of unique Nemesis-style fights and Nemesis-style activities that you'll be able to get into.
Go on. No, I think it's such a clever mechanic to have in your game. It adds so much personality and impact to the player and game interaction. Imagine logging off in your game and coming back on, and the bad guys you've killed or, experience with remember you and say, this is what you did last time. I know what you did, and you're not going to get away with that again. That is so cool. Like, and I'm so surprised this is not in more games, right? And so, like, I can only imagine a lot of these open world RPGs having a Nemesis system. Imagine like a relationship builder that you create with the whole world, that it adapts to the way you're acting in the game, And wow, I don't know if, like I said, the tech is locked behind that specific Nemesis system is locked behind Monolith, which I don't think it is anymore, because everybody has their own AI these days. But man, devs, you guys got to get on that. I think it adds so much value to the game. And this is, and also I made an X post about this. This game is how old? Chat, help me out here. How old is Shadow of War? It looks better than most modern games that are out now.
Right?
It's crazy how good this game looks. right? And I was like, geez, these guys are talented. And fun fact, Monolith Studios, they're in Redmond, Washington, right? They're local to us here. I was there testing out a game for them years ago, and it's already out. NDA's up already. So I was physically there. I saw Shadow of War on the wall while it was in production. Right?
Oh,
In their office. And I was like, you can't say anything. But there it is. So it's really cool to experience. So Andre asked, do you know the best thing to describe the game, GQ? Solo leveling. Yeah, I can see that. 100%. I think it's probably because we've just played so many cookie cutter games, right? And having the Nemesis system come back and slap you in the face and say, "Hey, no, you're in our game, dog." Like, yeah, you're not playing us. We're playing you. That kind of like woke me up and said, "Wow, this is refreshing." Like the game is telling me that I'm trash and remembering what I'm doing. It was like, even though I wasn't having fun, I was appreciating the interaction I was having with the game. So Mordor is 7 years old, so it came out in 2017. That's insane. It's still good.
Wild.
It's still good. It's better than most games out there right now. It's crazy. Now, it's not all fun and games. Playing the game and comparing it to the first one, there's definitely some changes made in the quality of life in the game, and the way the game is definitely in a weird way monetized. So skins are a thing now for this game. The DLC has always been there, but you can tell there's like mobile elements in the game because now there's things that drop that have rarities in them. And I don't remember the first game having that.
it's
Right.
WB.
Yeah, so it's like you can tell they go, well, we're going to give you budget for the sequel, but you're going to have to make this more valuable monetization wise, right? And of course, this game does not need monetization. The first one didn't. Why have it here? But that's where we're at in the industry. They're always trying to figure out how to get you after your initial purchase, right? So another game too, Mad Max. That's on my list, man. That's on my wall, ready to be played. After this game, I'm gonna take a break from open world. I'm gonna switch to something more mainstream, like beat 'em ups or first person shooter. Probably Black Ops 6. And then I'll go back to another genre because I don't want to stress myself out or wear myself out with the same genre over and over again. The reason why I say that is because I played Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3 to get ready for 4, and I was so burnt out in Assassin's Creed after 2 that I didn't want to play 4 anymore. So like you just got to learn how to pace yourself. It was the thing I learned. So Middle-earth Shadow War, 8 out of 10. All I got to say. And I'm only like 10, 15 hours into it. I'm still unlocking things, and there's so much in the game. The game looks good, feels good to play. Like, man, I don't know what else to say. Just those are the two things I appreciate. Looks good, feels good to play, sounds good, right?
Mm-hmm.
The negative thing I see is like you can tell they try to squeeze in monetization things in there, but since I got the Ultimate Edition or Definitive Edition, I don't have to worry about that. And this is why Ace said he's willing to wait for a Definitive Edition of Mortal Kombat, right? It comes with everything. So, and it is a WB title. So, if you guys haven't played it, play the first one, then play this one. You'll appreciate it more. So, super cool to have. Now, I know Ace, you were playing something that really caught my ear because I think I wanted to play it before. What was it that you were playing?
Yeah, and it's actually what I've got up right now. Unfortunately, I am hindered by the limitations of the technology. But
At the time,
right, but right now on my PS3, I am actually playing through the one Platinum Games Activision game that I didn't get the chance to play when all the others like Transformers and Avatar: The Legend of Korra were coming out. That being TMNT Mutants in Manhattan. A lot of mixed reviews surrounding that one, a lot of mixed word of mouth. But look, it's a Ninja Turtles game. We're just coming off of Shredder's Revenge and the Dimension Shell Shock DLC, and of course the addition of Mondo Gecko and Mona Lisa.
It's a game.
But I'm sitting down, I'm playing Mutants in Manhattan right now, and honestly, I am having a lot of fun with it.
Mm.
You know, it's got that snappy Platinum Games feel. You know, it's got good hand feel, especially on the notably smaller PS3 controller. You know, the intuitive it's like the intuitive usage of the co-op between all four turtles is there. It is spot on. If you were going to sit down and play this game, do so to experiment with each of the turtles, their different moves, the different moves that you can learn, and how you can, not only just hot swap between the brothers as you go through the game. Like literally, it's you are running around with all four of them on the street at one time, and you
Mhm.
can just, you know, you can just like hold L2 and then use the D-pad to just hot swap between Leo, Mike, Don, and Raph, at any given time. Each of them has their own pretty damn robust fighting style. They really make each of the turtles feel like they play differently with their signature weapons. The
Mm.
voice acting in the game is solid. The writing for not just the turtles but also the bad guys. It's there. It's about as close to the 80s cartoon as it can get for being a Platinum game.
And it's cell shaded, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, love it.
it is cell
Cool.
shaded. So, you've definitely got that, more animated look to it, and it honestly looks fantastic.
Yeah, for chat, how old is this game? I love how you guys check for us. Is great. I want to add in there, Ace, is that like I don't know if you noticed this, but there's been a lot of TMNT content everywhere. Like even Splintered Fate just came out not that
Mhm.
long ago, and I'm like, Mutants Unleashed came out right not that long ago. The arcade game, like the Ubisoft arcade game, got re-released. I forgot what it's called, but that you can buy that now, like on disc. And I'm
Mhm.
like, what's up with all this? What's up with all this TMNT stuff coming out? Is there something I'm missing here? And even that stupid game that I see on YouTube all the time, Heroes War, they have a TMNT collab with them, and I'm like, what the heck?
I
TMNT
think
making a
it's just
comeback?
I honestly think it's just, it's something of a comeback. I think it's definitely riding on it's from the success of Shredder's Revenge.
Okay, no, I'm down with that. I mean, we have a Karate Kid beat 'em up here. I think Wrath of Cobra just came out,
Right?
right?
And on top of that, Power Rangers, Rita's Rewind
Power Rangers come out.
too.
Beat 'em ups are back, baby. Like that's what's popping on these streets, man.
Yep. And
Like,
outside of the classic luminaries like Final Fight and Double Dragon, TMNT is up there in the beat 'em up pantheon.
oh, the arcade game is a classic, man. I mean, even One Up has remade Turtles and Turtles in Time on that.
Mhm.
That's super cool. You
Oh,
know,
you said Slash has the best theme. I'm gonna have
okay,
to listen to that a little bit later.
that's right. Okay, all right. Well, what would you give Mutants Manhattan out of 10
Okay,
for
so
what it is?
for what it is, I would actually give Mutants in Manhattan. Hell, as it stands, I'd give it a solid 8.
Yeah, 8.
Like if we're
Now,
going on a 10-point scale,
yeah,
solid 8. This is definitely a game that I would suggest buying. Uh, buy it if you're up for a good action game. Buy it if you're up for a good TMNT game.
it's
Oh,
it's
and
not
also,
it's not multiplayer, right?
I,
Because I think you switch around the turtles, so there's not really multiplayer in the game.
I can double check, but here's one other thing though. Like after you play the tutorial, you play the first stage where the stage boss is Rocksteady.
Mm-hmm.
The first stage boss is Bebop. But then after that, you can actually choose which of the other stages you want to go to next. And this includes bosses like Slash,
Mm.
Wingnut,
Mm.
Armagon. Yes,
Arm-
you can fight the
Armagon.
shark. You can fight the shark. And once you take out all of those bosses, then you open up the boss fights for General Krang and Shredder.
Ooh. I I remember the art style, and I remember seeing that game for the first time, and I'm like, so this is what it's like to feel like playing the comic book, like the Eastman and Laird's comic
Yes.
book, right?
That is exactly it. It,
Yeah.
it feels more like the Eastman and Laird comics than even the cartoon.
Yeah. So okay, I've always kind of like jumped around, kind of like, you know how Double Dragon, sometimes they can't get Billy and Jimmy right. Sometimes they swap color and hair, right? So in Mutants of Manhattan, are the foot soldiers human or robots?
Hold up.
Gonna beat up one real quick.
Let me beat up real quick.
Because in Shredder's Revenge, they're robots, right?
They explode blue. They're robots.
Okay. Because, you know, some of them, the foot soldiers are human, and some of them they're robots. So they're robots in this one. Okay. Which means they're more true to the comic than they are to the movies. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. I love that. You said 8 out of 10? I gave Shadow of War 8 out of 10. Chad, do you think that's fair? What would you guys give Mutants of Manhattan and Shadow of War? Not Mordor, sorry. Shadow of War. So, love to know. You straighten the turtles by fixing their loadout. It also affects when CPU turtles in your team. All right. You know what? Here's the thing, right? You know, the Academy loves Platinum. We love Kamiya and the crew, right? We love the designers of Bayo, right? What do they have in the pipeline? Because the last game they made was it was discontinued. And that was Babylon's Fall. You know, and I actually wanted to play that game, and I still plan on buying a copy of it to have it for history.
Right. I think the most recent one they did, aside from Babylon's Fall, was Bayonetta 3.
Bayonetta 3. And I know they were limited by the Switch on that, because that game needs to be on a real console, honestly, right?
Bayonetta 3 was Switch exclusive. I don't know if they've got anything new in the pipeline, which is really kind of sad.
It is kind of sad, which means we're due for an action game from them. And I'm always excited because it's like you give them an IP and they just kill it, like gameplay wise, right? We talked about Devastation, we talked about Legend of Korra, right? All Platinum games, you know, and like you just give them something. What do you guys think they should get next for a Platinum game? How about this? This is like partially rhetorical, right? What if they did G.I. Joe? Right?
Yo, if Platinum got their hands on G.I. Joe.
All right, hold on. They got G.I. Joe. The shooting portions is like Vanquish. And the melee portions is like Rising Revengeance.
Bro.
The Snake Eyes sections are Rising Revengeance.
Stop it.
Triple A title.
You are officially playing with my emotions here.
See that? Platinum, Kami, if you're watching, you got it. The Academy supports G.I. Joe designed by Platinum Games. Vanquish with Revengeance. Wow. You're taking a shooter and a melee combat game into one game. People would lose their minds. Like people would be like, I don't know how to play this game.
and then you get psychos like us going, feed me more.
Oh, I know. Sunhee Legend of X would make so many videos of that.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Kamiya isn't at Platinum anymore.
Kamiya's not at Platinum anymore.
Where's he at?
He's actually he's had to step out of the industry for a little bit.
Oh, okay. I mean, he's a legend. He's got good reason to. You know, it's very stressful. So. Morning, Ultra Bright Guy. But yeah, that's our now playing. Appreciate you guys. All right, now you guys have put up with us here for nearly 3 hours, and we have a new section to check out, and it's called Yo, Check This Out. I don't actually have a tab for it, but I do have this sick ass intro.
Yo, check this out.
Oh, your mic's muted. Not getting any audio out of you, man.
How about now?
We're good.
Okay, that's really weird. Okay. Oh, I think it's touch screen, so I touched it or something. Boo this man. Boo this man. You know what? Just for that.
Yo, check this out.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm checking this out. I love it. Love it. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to show you guys, share here. Let's see if I can open this for you. Is throughout the show, you've been noticing some chimes and tunes that's been happening, right? And I wanted you guys to check this out with the Academy, because right now, if you own a PS5, Sony surprises players with limited time PS5 themes and more. Okay. And I think Ace already experienced this himself. He wanted to share with me earlier.
And I would be so mad if they kept it as limited time.
Right. So right now you're able to change the like, I think right now when you restart, they greet you with a specific chime, right? When you load up your PlayStation. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you're able to go to these screens and change the theme to all the perspective versions of PlayStation eras, right? So this one doesn't really have, let's see here. I'll show you this is the PlayStation 1 version here, right? And you guys remember this. Yeah, it still gives you shivers, doesn't it? It's great. All right. And then you have the PS2 version, right? If you guys remember, it's this.
And also, just like on the PS2, the little, just like on the PS2, the radial dial actually does reflect what time is on your system.
Really? Oh, like right here. That's cool.
Yep, it does reflect. It does reflect the current time, and also the squares.
Mm-hmm.
Those actually reflect, the different sizes of files that you have on your system.
Yeah, and that I remember. That I remember for sure. And then the classic wave, the stream on the PS3 as well. Now, if you had the opportunity, nothing celebrates PlayStation than all these tunes. You know what I'm saying? So if you guys noticed that, awesome. And I kind of wanted to make sure if you guys didn't already experience it, you guys update your PS5, get the themes, listen to the memories, right? That's kind of what I want to share with you.
Yeah. Guys. Like seriously, that's the thing about the especially the PS3 theme. It emphasized just smooth, right?
Yep.
Just how that violin startup.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just the wave. And then just, like the more subtle system sounds as you're like, clicking through your games and files and stuff.
You know what I miss on the PlayStation 1 and 2 era, and I don't think we'll ever get them back, is chat. Do you guys remember when you boot up your PS1 or PS2 and you look at your memory card? There were little animations on the memory card depending on the game.
Yeah.
We'll never get that ever again. We're too boring and we're too adult for that now. It's not.
We are never going home again.
Like that's never gonna happen anymore, unfortunately. So, memories of a better time where games like Bushido Blade existed. Hey man, it may come back. I think there are Bushido Blade inspired games on Steam right now. I know there's a few, but it's. Unfortunately, I have to agree with you on that. A lot of these companies, they want to focus on like what sells the most to the widest audience, right? So I get you. It's like Bushido Blade's not going to win the majority of fans out there. One more thing that I want to show you guys check this out, is this guy right here. If you guys are a techie, not a Trekkie, a techie, there's a keyboard that has an interactive OLED built into it. So if you got money in your pocket and you want to have something cool that your friends don't have, and you love being in front of your computer like me, this is super cool. So this is like, I believe, a Snapdragon based OS for the touchpad. It's pretty much emulating a phone, I believe. right? So you can have a keyboard with a little thing that you can customize here. You can really help modulate, like, your commands, kind of like your Stream Deck, but now think about it as you can kind of like control what you want it to be, right? Program it would be what you want it to be. So this thing's called the Glyph keyboard. It comes with a pre-installed standalone standard Android app, separate from the App Store, expands the app library, and so on. It is a little bit bulky at 0.67 times by 4.49 by 5. It is thick. It's a thicker keyboard. The keys have an MX style switches which can be removed and placed as you prefer, and a backlight dynamically adapts to video or image wallpaper. So it's not like a keyboard that you would just get normally. It's definitely a splurge. I think it's crowdfunded right now for $500. So it's not cheap. But if you got money in your pocket, you want to change up your game setup, this is a good way to kind of like, I guess like show off your, what Tragically Elite would say, your e-peen. So that's what he used to call it. But it looks like if you are among the early birds, you can get 34% off as an ultimate early bird or 29% off as an in-demand exclusive. So check that out. This article is from gamerstones.com by Jay Kakade. So yeah, that is the episode of
Yo, check this out.
There you go. Yeah, this is never gonna get old. I love that. I love that. And what I was trying to do is get the end part of that song. I would have to edit though.
Oh yeah.
So
a little bit of time and Audacity should do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's gonna be pretty easy. So but yeah, that's yo, check this out. And if we find more fun things on there, we'll definitely share them with you guys. But yeah, that is the episode today. I mean, we got a lot. It's a jam-packed episode, guys. Like,
yeah,
clearly these episodes are getting longer. More value for y'all.
Definitely. So, but again, I do want to see if we can try our damnedest to keep it, within that 2-hour time frame, though.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. I think like with Christmas coming up, I'll be out December 24th, Christmas Eve, all the way till January 2nd. Let me just check the calendar real quick. So 24th, I'm gonna say we're not gonna have a show. That's Christmas Eve. Everybody should be enjoying themselves, right? Uh-huh. And then I won't be
4th and the 31st.
Yeah, the 31st I won't be here. I'll still be in California, so we won't have 2 shows. So we're just packing them in now before the holidays, right? And then we'll be back stronger than ever on the 7th. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in your calendars. We appreciate that as always. And like I said, we're trying to make the show more fun, better than ever before. Graphics, sounds, and everything. What's California? I'm gonna go visit family. My mom's there, so and the whole year I don't really visit, but then she's like, you gotta visit me at least one time a year. So her birthday is on the 24th, so I'll go over there and check it out. It's really chill, and usually my mom has me do chores around the house, which is like funny because it's like I'm old now, but it's I'm still her baby boy, right? So I just go there, pretty much jump on my Switch, get my gaming on, sleep, eat home cooked meals. God, it's a dream. It's like being a kid again, honestly. And I get to do it for a week. And
that's me around Easter time with the family reunions, man.
Bro, I'm telling you, I highly appreciate it. And it cost me money to get there, but it's worth that whole week. It's worth more than my ticket, right?
And it is.
So it's pretty great. But I'm gonna come back energized. When I'm over there, I'll be thinking about what to talk about, because like I said, I like to kind of freshen things up with stuff like this. Maybe we'll have a community game night. If there's any games coming out soon that people want to jump in and kind of like maybe get ready for, right? Maybe we can do another study hall with that, right? Thinking about having more guests on the show. Thinking about other, kind of like guests to talk about relevant things. I just don't want people to show up without nothing to contribute, right? I want to be respectful of your time and your commitment to watching us as well. So,
exactly.
I don't know if you guys have been noticing. If you follow me on YouTube, I've been adding a lot of shorts and from clips that I've been taken from my older episodes, and they're pretty funny. Like one of them was I was playing Defender of the Crown, because we were talking about that on the podcast one day, right? And the guy that I was playing as, his name was Jeffrey Longsword, and his stats said jousting, fair, movement, okay, swordplay, great. And I was like, damn right, it'd be great. His name is Jeffrey Longsword. Why would he not be great? You know? And some guy in the comments was like, now all we have to do is find Lance Shortbow and we have a team. And I was like, thanks, man. I appreciate that. So it's really fun. So I appreciate you guys as always. But before we kind of sign out, because I know we last pretty long here. Ace, anything to add before we sign off for the night?
Well, as far as stuff to add, I would say once again, GQ definitely definitely find some time to pop onto Warframe. I mean, if you've already played something like Wayfinder or the First Descendant, then yeah, Warframe is like that is the granddaddy. That is
the OG.
That is OG looter shooter.
Okay.
But definitely give Warframe a shot. Speaking of the First Descendant, later on this week, Season 2 begins. So we've got a new Ultimate Descendant. We've got new characters, period, being added to the roster. So keep an eye out for that, because I am definitely going to be streaming that. And other than that, December's going to be kind of an action-packed month, prepping for Christmas, prepping for the new year. It's also going to be really nice because it'll be a chance for us to, sit down and especially for me to put together and, talk about what I'm going to be choosing as my top shelf games of 2024.
Well, we know what's happening in January for you already.
Man, between Monster Hunter and Freedom Wars, bruh.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Freedom Wars, I'm definitely going to join you in that. Like that's my thing, right? And anybody in chat wants to join, for sure, jump on our Discord. We'll let you know when we're playing. We're probably gonna stream it. Last time Ace played Exo Primal, I jumped on, right? Might as well.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, might as well. So, and I'm looking forward to kind of bringing back my prisoner in Freedom Wars and getting back in there, because I do remember have good memories with that game. Now I get to play it not on the tiny screen and with my hand cramping, which is nice. So now all we need is Soul Sacrifice, because I love Soul Sacrifice.
Yes,
that's like the D Souls of hunting games.
Capcom, y'all know what to do.
Were they Capcom? I thought they were Sony.
Soul Sacrifice was Capcom.
Okay. Now I know they're not going to do it, because they don't want to cannibalize Monster Hunter. So yeah, regardless, looking forward to January. Looking forward to watching your gameplays of Origins. Honestly, always great because remember, one of the momentous moments in the crossroads of our streaming career is when we did the DW8 fan review. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, chat, would you guys want us to watch that together?
Oh my god, yes. Yes,
you guys want to do a watch of the DW8 the infamous DW8 review?
Yo, that is good. That should be our first trip to the AV room.
I think it may just happen for the new year, so let's yeah, you know what, here's the thing,
that'd be awesome.
Let's get you settled in on some Origins. Let's get people hyped up for that. And let's not forget what we had back in, what was that, 2010? Was it 2015?
No,
we did that?
For Dynasty Warriors 8? No, yeah. That was, I want to say that was 13.
13? Okay, I believe that. 2013. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm all for that. Let's plan that for the new year after the release of Origins, when things have calmed down. So.
Sounds good to me.
All right, well, that's the end of our show, and as always, I want to leave you guys with something to remember before you guys leave class. All right, and I'll take it. Good old AI here. All right, so before you guys leave, I appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate you both, Tragic and I, Ace. We all love you. We appreciate you. Like I said, the thanks cannot extend enough. It drives us to be better and make better content for y'all. And whenever see new people on here, we always get excited to make the stream much better. So with that said, keep gaming, keep crushing it. The year's almost over, but a new year begins, right? So that means new opportunities, right? And take the lessons you learned for 2024 and apply them to 2025. And remember, gamers, every quest starts with a single step. Every boss fight teaches us to be better. And every game, win or lose, is a chance to have fun. keep leveling up in life, stay curious, and most importantly, play with your heart. Until the next time, this is your headmaster at the GQAzndood Gaming Academy with the man on the street, Blazing Ace Nelson, signing off, but gaming on. Have a good night.
Class dismissed.